but we do have 1 week and 2 days remaining until we kick off next Thursday night when Lonzo's Kansas City Chiefs begin their efforts to become the NFL's first three-peat champions by hosting last year's AFC Championship game opponent, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. That is a week and 2 days away. College football week number 1 is just 2 days away as we've got a deep Thursday night slate that does have a couple of very interesting games on it since we had a good week. A good week in week 0, but not a deep week in week 0. A good list of games on week 0, but not a great deep schedule in week 0. Week 1 is where we're going to get into the meat and taters of the season. And I am quite excited about it. And we are going to get deep into week 1 football starting today, as a matter of fact, on the show, and take some of the breakdowns from what week 1, might end up looking like, how it might end up playing out, and seeing what we might extrapolate from it. We got that coming up for you later in the show. Today, arguably, the most uncomfortable day on the NFL calendar, as today is NFL cut day. A lot of guys going to lose jobs today. A few more will pick up jobs, as some of them will be added to practice squads. Some of them will be dropped onto the waiver wire and will be picked up by other teams around the NFL today. Of course, as we have mentioned a number of times throughout the course of the day today, we will talk about it. Carolina Panthers, number 1 on the waiver wire order. So big day could be in store for the Carolina Panthers today as they wait to see what names may be added to the waiver wire list today that could then be added to their roster down the line should they elect to do so. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. The Atlanta Braves played the first of a 7-game road swing last night at Minnesota, and they clobbered the ball up 9-2 at the end of the first 2 innings. 9-1 at the end of the first 2 innings. The Braves would put one more on the board later in the show, a 10 spot for the ATL last night as they knock off the Minnesota Twins 10-2, which was final in that one. And a good win for Atlanta on the road, a necessary win for Atlanta on the road, not just because they needed that dub to start the road swing and having a 7-game road swing that does include it starts with 3 games in Minnesota, but then it includes 4 games at Philly before the Bravos come back to the house. Remember, the Bravos took 2 out of 3 against the Phillies just a week ago. Now they've got to get a couple more. They've got to get at least 1 away from Philly when they go to Philadelphia at the end of this week. Good way to build momentum up against a decent Twins team. They do hit the ball around the park a little bit last night. So we'll talk about the road swing a bit and what it means for the Bravos to start it off with a W. That's coming up later on. We got a big story out of the world of NASCAR. Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon put in an appeal for his win in Richmond, Virginia. Remember NASCAR, after he wrecked out a couple of drivers, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, down the stretch in order to win the race at Richmond, which he thought punched his ticket into the 2024 NASCAR playoffs. NASCAR said, nah, you went a little far. You did a little too much. You were a little too extra in that one, Stone Cold Steve Austin Dillon, and removed his playoff berth despite allowing him to keep the win on the record books. Well, the team filed an appeal. NASCAR handed down their judgment on that appeal yesterday. We'll talk about that later on in the show. And we will talk a little Clemson football and a little South Carolina football on the show. Of course, both of those teams get their season underway this Saturday. Georgia opens up in Atlanta in a neutral site game against Georgia. We'll find out if that is true or not. We'll talk about that game, give you some X's and O's and thoughts on that later in the show. South Carolina at the house this Saturday. They welcome in the Monarchs of ODU. Old Dominion coming to the squad this weekend. Old Dominion, one of the worst teams in football last year. So this is most certainly a tune-up game, a get-right game, a find-your-rhythm game for the South Carolina Gamecocks. We'll talk about them later on the show. Before we get to any of those things, let's do now what we should have done earlier, and I'll say good morning to the man who runs this show and every radio show you've ever listened to that you like and none of the ones that you hate, the guy that is in charge of this broadcast, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate, the great one, Lonzo, is here. Hello, Lonzo.
Hello. I was fine with it. I was doing some other work, so we're good.
Well, you know, the key is you got to open, bang, you got to hit him. Yeah, bow, you got to get in there real quick. You got to hit him with the info right out of the gate.
And talking to me would not be hitting them with the, mentioning that I'm here would break the 8-second rule. Wouldn't want to do that.
Well, everybody knows you're here because if you're not here, the show doesn't go on the air.
That's not true. I do take vacations.
That's also true.
On occasion.
That's all true. Yeah, the great one is here.
But if I was taking a vacation, you'd be on this side of the board.
And complaining a lot.
Would you? Do you do that?
A lot strong. Certainly a little. You know what it is? It's not complaining. It's just repeatedly pointing out to everybody how capable and talented I am. Okay. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. There's a difference.
I would think that would show up without you having to tell them. I mean, I don't, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, my old man used to tell me all the time, if you have to tell somebody you are a thing, you're not that thing. But I am that thing. Yeah. And I'll tell them that I am.
If you're saying, do you know who I am? They don't. So, I mean, there's that. By the way, rocking, rather. Words are hard. Because I'm stunned by you rocking the white Braves jersey today.
Why?
Because
it's my favorite one.
Yeah, but fat guys can't wear white, and you're not fat anymore, so you're wearing white. So good for you.
No, I'm not at yet. I'm not at, and I do want to get here now. I've hit that point, and I hate this about me because it's not me, but I hit the point where I flipped the switch. Great one. I flipped the switch from, all right, I'm where I wanted to be when I started dropping the LBs, right? I wanted to get to 215. I'm now at 213. So I was like, all right, I'm where I want to be. I'm below the threshold I said, but I think I want to keep going. I think I want to get down to like 205. That's not to say I'm going to stay at 205, but I got 24 days left until the wedding at this point. So I got a little over 3 weeks. I'm like, all right, I think I want to get to 205. That's another 8 pounds in 3 weeks. However many pounds a week that is. I'm bad at numbers. I think I'll get to 205. But something happened yesterday where I was at the house. I did I did BetMGM Tonight last night with Ryan Horvath. So for those of you that stuck around after Wire to Wire and left your radio on, you got another 4 hours of Rob Brown. You're welcome. You get to bookend yesterday, today, tomorrow. You get to bookend your day. Rob Brown in the morning, Rob Brown at night. When Rob Brown's in your ear holes, everything's going to be all right. I bookended, and I got done with the show last night. And the only problem that comes with hosting that show, especially when I'm doing it with Ryan Horvath, because Horvey and I, we groove, we flow. We got a zone we get into when we're talking college ball. That show ended, and like I'm ramped up. I'm wide awake, right? We've been talking college football, NFL, MLB for 4 hours. I'm ramped up. I'm good to go. And so the show ended, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be 35, 45 minutes before I'm ready to like lay down and force myself to sleep. So I went and got comfy. I threw on the pajama pants. I opened the closet, and I have had hanging in the back of the closet for I do not know how long now, a Bel Air Academy basketball jersey, right? A Fresh Prince of Bel Air Academy basketball jersey. And I'm like, yeah, let's put that on. That's a good nighttime shirt.
From the original, not the reboot.
From the OG Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I have had a Bel-Air Academy basketball jersey that I've been wearing for a very, very long, not wearing, I have owned for a very, very long time. Because, I'm assuming you're the same way. I assume everybody's the same way. You pack on a couple of LBs. Maybe you get a couple of LBs past being able to wear like your favorite clothes, and you can't bring yourself to throw them away because you're like, I'll get back to that, right? I'll get back to that. I'll get back to where I can put on a basketball jersey. I'll get back where I can fit into that. That's my favorite Batman shirt. That's my favorite polo, my favorite golf shirt, whatever. So you can't bring yourself to get rid of it because you want to use that as motivation to drop the LBs, right? I got this fantastic piece of merch that I keep hanging around, can't fit into it. I've held on to this Bel-Air Academy shirt, basketball jersey, with the intention of getting back into it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me see. And I put it on last night, and I can fit in it again. Like it hangs. It's not like I'm stuffing a sausage into it, right? Like it hangs off me. And so I put it on, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like back in this jersey. I look good. I feel good. I'm able to get back in my old basketball jerseys. This is great. And so I go into the living room, and I take the dog out one last time. I'm getting ready for Betty Bye, and I walk back inside, and I'm like, all right, let me go to the restroom real quick before I go to bed. And I walk into the bathroom, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like looking in the mirror, like bang, back in the old basketball jersey. And then I'm looking, I'm like, dog, you got some scrawny ass arms, bro. So now I know I got scrawny arms and a saggy ass. I can't win. Like I dropped the LBs, and now I just like I'm patting myself on the back a little bit here, but like I got scrawny arms, and I had and I mean this, for the first time since like high school, I had this moment where I'm like, I'm gonna go do some curls. I'm gonna get some beef back up. I'm gonna get some muscle back up. So when we get off the show today, we're gonna upload the pod. We're gonna upload the promos. I'm gonna go upload our highlight segments for the day. And then when I leave here, because I finally found the place that's gonna fix my car. So that's on the books now, right?
Sweet. Yes.
And so I got to drop the car off, Uber back to the house, and then basically just kind of hang out until they get it fixed. I'm gonna go to the gym and get the pump on because I want to be able to go. I want to go back to where I can rock sleeveless jerseys and not look like the dork ass character in the coming of age teen movie that's trying too hard.
So you want to look like John Cena back in the day?
Now, listen, I want you to know I have no misinterpretation that I'm ever going to have those arms, right? I'm never going to have the arms that I go to the beach and the ladies go gaga. That's not going to happen. But I would like to get to the point that I can put on a basketball jersey and not judge myself. All right. Because Rob Brown doesn't hurt for self-confidence all the time. There are some spots in my life, right? Like I've never approached women in bars. I don't have that level of self-confidence. But
well, they approach you. I mean, come on.
I've never had that. But you can lock me in a box with a microphone. And am I convinced that I can entertain people for 4 hours just by talking about sports? Yeah, I'd say so. Lonzo and I have won some trophies. Am I convinced that you can put me up on the stage with a guitar and a microphone and I can be the face of a band? I can keep a crowd entertained between songs? Yeah, I've been doing it 17 years. Like I'm pretty sure I got it in the bag. But when I walked into the bathroom last night and I looked at myself with my twigs hanging out, right? With the arms, with the chicken legs, with the chicken wings hanging out of the jersey, I was like, oh, I gotta lift some weights.
Did you know you can multitask, by the way? You could be working out while on the air for the entire show. All you need is to purchase a shake weight. I'm sure everyone wants to see you tone with the shake weight while talking and not have your voice vibrate.
You and I both know what the people on the stream do with that.
Those things,
you and I both know
those
what
things
happens.
obviously work. They're very effective, and you just want to tone. You don't want to build. Get you a shake weight.
Do those things work?
Don't know.
I don't know if those things work. I have no idea. In fact, and I'm
just wondering if you could actually use one while on the air and talk and no one notice. That's just, I mean, just.
I was gonna act it out to see.
Yeah, that's Way to go. I almost got you there.
But there's 5 people watching the stream right now, right?
6.
Hey, what? Yeah, I can't do it. I don't have the stones
I'm sorry I witnessed it.
I can't do it. So anyway, yeah, that's enough about me, Greenville, Spartanburg, upstate South Carolina. Let's talk about you. What do you want to talk about? Text line's open, 781-307. Start your text with FAN, 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 FAN. We'll read them on the air. You can give us a buzz on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-326-3663, 844-FAN-FONE. If you'd like to come in that direction, you're certainly welcome to do it. You can also X me at The Rob Brown Show. You can get it the great one, Lonzo, at Lonzo on Word. And you can tweet everybody at The Fan Upstate if you want to get at us in that direction. All of that available to you when we come back here in just a moment from right now. I put up an article yesterday on the website, www.thefanupstate.com, about Deion Sanders, because it was announced that Colorado has banned a reporter from asking questions, and I have thoughts. I'll tell you what they are next on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate. Mike, Adam, good morning, guys. Austin Aries at APW Pro Wrestling this Friday. I really want to go, Adam. I really want to go. But it is the fiance's 40th birthday party.
Oh, should you have said that? I mean,
she ain't listening.
Yeah, but
okay, I probably just should have said birthday.
Yeah, you should have. What are you doing?
But you get the point.
What are you even doing, man?
Anyway, it is the fiance's 40th birthday on Friday, and I'm relatively sure if I go, hey, babe, happy birthday, I'm going to watch wrestling, it'll be the last birthday I spent with her. However, and I mean this, Adam, please keep coming through and tell us when these shows are, because I promise you I'm coming to one. I promise you I'm coming to one. Promise you.
I really want to, but I have a fear of people. So, I mean, you know. Actually, if I come, I'll be all by myself because he will leave me, and I'll just be sitting there by myself watching wrestling, but I'll be by myself.
Tuesday, September 10th at the Spring Hill Suites in downtown Greenville. Normally, a day with one of my partners costs $5,000, but in cooperation with Clemson Broadcasting, this event is just $300, and there's no sales pitch at all. Seating is limited. Learn more and register at unfairmarketing.org and get your unfair advantage. Have you lost weight in the past but gained it all back and more? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Griffin with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret to losing weight and keeping it off long-term without drugs or surgery. New Life Weight Loss can help you lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two and keep it off without prepackaged meals, no exercising, no drugs or surgery. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
It will happen eventually, Adam, for sure. Rob might even let me go with him and hang with me for a little while. It could happen. Especially if you're going to put us in the VIP section, which could just be, you know, like a corner with I don't know. We definitely appreciate it. I can speak for Rob in this case.
He does speak for me here. But yes, Adam, I'm absolutely coming to the show. In fact, not only am I coming to the show, but there's a group of us that love going to wrestling shows, and I've talked to them about it, and they want to come too. It's just a matter of finding a Friday that I don't have something happening. Which, well, I don't have a lot happening Fridays in the football season, so maybe I can make one.
All right, so leave me out because I'm not a part of that group. They leave me out in the rain.
No, we don't. We text you what gate to go to when you ignore us.
Yeah, that's not true. He's skinny now, but don't think he can handle getting back in the ring, Adam. Plus, he's undefeated. He doesn't want to risk that.
Listen, I'm not against. In fact, I've told Adam. I've said this a number of times. You got anybody who needs a voice? Needs a voice guy, needs a mic guy, needs a talker, needs a mouthpiece, needs a manager, needs a valet. I'm your guy, bud. All right. I'm your guy. I'll go back. I will bust out after the wedding, not before. After the wedding, I will bust the wedding suit out. I got some Jordans that match it. All right. I will 100% come and mouthpiece for somebody, or I will come tailgate in the parking lot for an hour and a half before the show and just come in and have a great time. You need somebody to talk, take a bump or three, holler at your boy.
Dude.
I'll do it.
Dude.
I'll do it.
The bump thing. That's
I'll do it.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I
Don't.
can.
No,
Watch
no,
me.
no. You keep talking about getting hurt while sleeping. Don't do that.
I ain't scared.
Know
I ain't
your
scared.
limitations, okay? I mean, you lost weight, you look good. Don't take a risk. Stop doing that. That hurt me. No.
Oh, I don't want to take your job, Adam. I'm trying to do it at full time. I'm just saying, if you need a guy who needs a cover, needs somebody to talk for him while he grows and develops, I can be like local dollar store Paul Heyman. Is all I'm saying. The great one, Alonzo, and dollar store Paul Heyman, Rob Brown with you this lovely Tuesday morning. Welcome in.
You're going to be sore tomorrow for how hard you hit yourself trying to be all macho.
Got our boy Adam up in the stream right now as APW Asylum Pro Wrestling going this Friday in the Berg, and I'm trying to get out to a show because there is nothing better than local indie wrestling. Nothing. There's nothing better. It's the most entertaining thing in the world. And I'm trying to get to a show. And I told Adam during the break, if you need somebody who can, come in, be a mouthpiece, be a valet, be a local dollar store version of Paul Heyman, I'm your guy. I'm happy to do it. And if that means I got to take a bump or three, let it happen. All right. Paul Heyman is 115 years old and getting put through tables. All right. I still got it. I mean, I'm not saying I could go a match. I'm saying you need somebody that can step in, talk a little bit, and then take a super kick to the jaw. I'm your guy. I got it. I'm in. I'm done. Book it. Let's go. All right. Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, which is what's on his door in his office in Boulder at the University of Colorado. Coach Prime, as we addressed on the show last week, is, in my opinion, in over his head. And I think he put it on full display. There is a reporter for the Denver Post. This reporter for the Denver Post, let me take that back. He is not a reporter. He is a columnist. There is, so that we are all very clear, a difference. A reporter reports. A columnist opines. A reporter tells you what is happening. A columnist tells you what he thinks about what is happening. There is a difference. Lonzo and I are verbal columnists who occasionally report. And then there are reporters who occasionally opine. Sean Keeler is a columnist for the Denver Post. Sean Keeler is not a fan of the work of Neon Deion Primetime Sanders and has been pretty open about that fact. He has written a number of articles that have been very critical of Deion Sanders, very critical of the Colorado football program under him. He has referred to Deion as a false prophet. He has referred to Deion, and what is my favorite new thing that I'm absolutely stealing, I'm going to give this about 6 weeks to die off before I add it to my daily lexicon, the, quote, Bruce Lee of BS. It's pretty good. I mean, Bruce Lee's a GOAT, so, like, that makes sense. He's also gone on to call the program a, quote, circus.
How does that, I mean, Bruce Lee, how is that? I mean, you like it, but can you explain it to me? Because
Deion Sanders is full of, and he's so full of that he is like Bruce Lee with the art of martial arts.
Oh, so he's the master of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I get it now.
Yes, that is exactly correct. So yesterday, the University of Colorado announced that Scott Keeler was still welcome to cover the Colorado Buffaloes in person, still welcome to come to games, still welcome to cover press conferences, etc. But Scott Keeler was now banned by the university from asking questions of Deion Sanders. And that came along with a audio clip that started making the rounds. It is an audio clip I tried to find and pull this morning, and unfortunately I ran out of time. But suffice to say, Keeler went to ask Deion a question. Deion hit him back with, "Why are you so negative? Why are you so aggressive?" Keeler was like, "Coach, can I ask you a football question?" Deion's like, "No, we got to talk about this. Why are you always," these words are quoted, "Why are you always on the attack? That's not normal," end quote. Keeler said, "Coach, this isn't about me. It's about you and the team. Can I ask you a football question?" Deion said, "No, I want to help you. I want to figure this out because this ain't normal. Why are you always on the attack?" And it went back and forth for like a hot minute. And finally, when asked for the final time, "Can I ask you a football question?" Deion Sanders said no. Well,
so the reporter wouldn't have a back and forth with Deion Sanders, wouldn't talk about the fact that maybe he does need help. I mean, that's denial right there.
No, he
absolutely needs some help.
That is a columnist trying to ask a football coach a football question in a football press conference, not ask for therapy from Deion Sanders. I don't care what you think about me. You are here to do your job as a football coach. I am here to do my job as a football reporter. Part of my job is to ask you football questions, and part of your job is to answer them. It would not be even that bad, except for the question before Keeler in this press conference was a reporter asking Deion, how important do you think it is for Buffalo's fans to have Aflac? Of course, obviously a major sponsor of Deion Sanders. The reporter after Keeler asked Deion Sanders, "Deion, you just had a birthday. You just turned 57 or whatever he is now. I think it's 57. Not that it's important, but now I have to know. Yeah, 57. What were your birthday plans? Did you have any fun birthday plans, Deion?" It's not what we're here for. Now, I don't mind reporters and journalists having a back and forth with a coach. All right? I've done it before. I don't mind journalists having a back and forth with a coach, especially if that coach has been good enough to the journalist that they've developed that relationship. However, I do think it is very important. And I found my name yesterday because I am an egomaniac. I found my name yesterday on a rather large Clemson message board. Why does this guy hate Dabo Swinney? I don't hate Dabo Swinney. I've never hated Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney, in the number of times that I've met him and interacted with him, has never been anything but kind to me. But there is a difference between falling over backwards to kiss an ass and being critical and asking questions about the lack of performance of teams in certain spots.
Well,
right?
That Dabo promo is still pretty good.
It is, and it's spot on.
It is.
It's not hypercritical. I have never once. You
can't be negative about Dabo, who has gone at reporters, and so is Steve Spurrier. This prime thing is nothing new in college football or college sports.
Yes, it is. Hold on. Now you're wrong.
It's
I'm gonna walk up to that. I have never been personally critical of Dabo Swinney. I wouldn't. I don't have a reason to.
I wasn't talking about that.
I know you weren't, but I'm not done with the Deion thing.
Should I dig up the Spurrier stuff?
Nope.
To where that reporter could no longer work in Columbia?
Nope.
Should I dig that up?
Nope.
Because I can find it.
Nope. It's I'm gonna argue it's different, but we're gonna come to that. The Dabo stuff, never been personally critical. He's never been anything but kind to me. The couple of times I've met him, interacted with him, he's been phenomenal. All right. There's a difference between attacking and being hypercritical. There's a difference between being critical and being personal. And now I will acknowledge that the Bruce Lee of BS, I can see how that would feel to some people like it's crossed the line into personal. Okay. Now, here's what I'll say about Deion, and then we'll talk about the Spurrier thing. I'm not going to say it's never happened in college football. I'm also not going to say it's common in college football. Has it happened a few times? Yeah, I'm sure it has. But I don't think it's common. So here's how this whole thing feels to me. It feels to me like Scott Keeler, who is pretty much at this point openly accused Deion Sanders of being over his depth. And for the record, I think he is too. And I said that before he got the job, or before he started the job. When he got the job, but before he showed up and started the job, I said, I think the guy's in over his head. I think this is too big of a jump up. I think he relied on talent at Jackson State. I think he relied on his celebrity attracting talent that other schools in that same level, that same tier of football don't have access to. And I don't think he can X's and O's. I don't think he can coach. I think he just coasted on having guys that were 4- and 5-star recruits that otherwise would have never considered a Jackson State come in there because he's Deion. And that ain't going to be how it's going to be in Power 4 football. He's not getting the greatest talent in Power 4 football just by being Neon Deion. I think he outkicked his coverage. I think he would have been better served staying at a D2 level, staying at an HBCU, staying at an FCS school, staying at a place where if he gets 4- and 5-star talent, that talent just beats the talent of other teams. But when it comes to Power 4 football, you're not getting better talent than everybody else. Now you got X's and O's them. And on top of that, he's putting together a coaching staff full of guys that also don't know X's and O's. Warren Sapp put out a introductory interview period where he was like, these babies got my heart. I love these kids. I never wanted to be a coach until Deion called me, and I saw what that calling is like, and now I'm all in, and that's all well and good. But Warren Sapp, can you run a defense? Can you coach a kid how to play out of a shade technique and come off a pass block? Because if you can't, you're worthless in this position.
Will he get in some sort of trouble that will get him to no longer be coaching because he has a history of that?
Don't know. I'd like to think Warren Sapp's a new man and he's going to be a great mentor and role model, but it doesn't mean he can coach a football team. And at the end of the day, the job is not be the Tony Robbins of the sport. The job is to make college football players be better college football players. That's literally it. And I don't think Deion's doing that. And I think that Scott Keeler asking questions has told me something about Deion. I think Deion doesn't have answers. I think he's afraid of that reality. I think he's insecure of the recognition that he isn't over his head, but he's too damn proud to acknowledge it. Colorado's winning 2 games this year, 3 at most. We'll talk more about it on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Let me read you a headline. September 12, 2013, Bleacher Report. South Carolina Steve Spurrier gets columnist thrown off beat for being mean. Morris declined, Ron Morris is a guy. Morris declined to talk to me, but others familiar with the situation, including former University of South Carolina and state staffers, describe how the state's publisher, Henry Hates III, made his veteran columnist agree in writing that he would never again write about Gamecocks football or talk about the USC program on TV and radio shows. And eventually he just, if I recall, left Columbia because he and Spurrier kept going at it. This is not new. It's not new at all. And I would say that Spurrier was much more out of line than what Prime was. I'm only bringing this up because this happened in this area where we are.
I am not saying it has never happened. I'm saying that I think it is I don't think it's popular. I don't think it's common. I don't think it happens all the time. I think it is.
See, I do think it's common, and we've heard Dabo go at reporters before.
Difference between going at a reporter and going, you're not allowed to ask questions anymore. You're not allowed to.
All right, here's one of the things that Ron Morris wrote. I think it's a real test of the University of South Carolina administration because Spurrier played Connor Shaw and he was hurt. This is how things like Penn State happen. When the administration won't step up and confront the football coach and he becomes all powerful, when the football coach begins to dictate company policy, I think you're asking for trouble. So he's going right at him and basically and brought up Penn State, which, I mean, I'm just saying that situation sounds a whole lot worse than this one.
I've not gotten yet. and what is a failure on my part to the actual point that I wanted to make.
Okay. I'm just trying to give a counterpoint that I don't think this is that big of a deal, but
it's not.
it just seems like, and you're going to get mad. Seems like you're protecting the media.
No, it's not. It's 100% going after Deion Sanders. It just happens to be that in this case, the media was the target of the ire. I don't have any reason to protect Scott Keeler. I don't know the guy. I've never met him. I've never talked to him.
He
may very well be a butthole. And I'm acknowledging, in fact, even willing to say he has been a butthole. But that's not a reason for Deion to be a combative butthole in return. You are, to me, in a role, in a position that requires some level of heightened response. Oh, why am I saying this now? I'll say it on the air.
Well, you are.
Just doing
it's a stream exclusive.
A segment over here. So continuing down the path that we were on with that Deion Sanders segment just a second ago, let me tell you what the actual meat and potatoes of this segment is for me, of this conversation is for me. I am sure that there are a number. I don't think it's a huge number, but I'm sure that there are a number of reporters who have been banned from covering, asking questions of, discussing a college or even NFL or NBA or NHL or whatever team that they are a beat writer for. I'm sure that has happened multiple times around the country. I don't think it's a widely common practice. I don't think it happens all the time. But even for the sake of discussion, let's say that it does. Let's say that it is. Let's say that this is happening at every school once a year, every offseason. Okay, that's fine. The question mark would be, why? Why? It is one thing if there's a guy that is in a run where Kirby Smart's got a team that's kicking everybody's butt together. If there is a reporter out there that is, I don't know, lying about the team, disseminating false information, fake news. It's all fake news. Everything he writes, fake news. All right? That's one thing. That's one thing.
You kind of threw some mafia in there behind it. So
yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah, I blew it. I had the opportunity. I had the shot. There was no danger, so I took it, but I missed. If there was a reporter spreading false sentiment, if there was a reporter lying, if there was a reporter, say, digging up and, although actually I don't even have a problem with this, but let's say I would get it, digging up and giving away game plans, right? This guy found a way to hack into the Play iPad and come up with the game plan and put it in the newspaper. These are all reasons that I would say, all right, it's fair. It's fair. I don't like it, but it's fair. Scott Keeler writing about the issues about a football team that won a couple of games last year and then got hammered the rest of the ride, and a coach who looked like he was out of his league, to me, ain't a reason to ban the guy. I'll tell you how this comes across, in my opinion. How this comes across, in my opinion, is that Scott Keeler has questions. They are tough questions. Deion doesn't know the answer to those tough questions. And because Deion doesn't know the answer to those questions, instead of being placed in a spot where he has to answer tough questions, instead, he's not going to listen to him. Instead of being placed in a spot where Scott Keeler says, hey, Deion Primetime Sanders, there's this problem with your football team. How do you plan on addressing it? And Deion doesn't have an answer for that. Instead of facing that question down and revealing to Buffalo fans that he doesn't actually know what's happening here, he would rather find a way to not face the question in the first half. Because if nobody asked the question, then you're not put in the awkward spot where you reveal you don't have the answer to it. I have said this for politics for years. If a politician stops taking questions from a journalist, my automatic belief is that that politician has something to hide. Automatically. And I don't care if I agree with you that the journalist in question is a super partisan, uber biased, wide left, wide right, whatever, extremist activist journalist who is known solely and only for asking questions that paint a situation and a candidate or a office holder in a bad light, right? I've said it for years. If a Democrat was to ban OAN or Newsmax, or if a liberal was to ban Fox News or whatever, however it plays out, my automatic reaction is...
You don't know any other news things for the other side? I just,
okay, if what would you consider a left-wing news source?
All of them.
Okay, there it is. It's a fight I knew was coming. That's okay. The point here is...
Hey, I set you up, you set me up. Whether you like the punchline, I can't help it.
The point here is, if a politician says, I am no longer addressing that agency, even if that agency is indeed super biased, Young Turks, there you go, there's one on the left, super duper biased, and they say, I'm not answering questions, I'm not talking to them anymore, my automatic reflex reaction is, they don't have answers to the questions. Because even if it's a super biased, super tilted question that skews all the information to look you one way, if what you're doing is right and justified, you should be able to counter that. You should be able to say, the premise of your question is wrong. Here's the correct information, and here's how I'm doing what I'm doing. And then I've got some trust, right or left, centrist doesn't matter, right? So when a football coach says, I'm not taking questions from that guy, what it automatically screams to me is, I don't have answers for that guy's questions. I don't have responses to him. And instead of being placed in a position where I'm on this stage, I'm on this mic, and I am having it proven to my fan base that this guy's asking questions that I don't have an answer to, I'm just not going to let him ask the questions. It screams insecurity to me from Deion Sanders.
See, what it screams to me is he is finally made the big time as far as coaching goes, because from what I've seen, and I haven't been everywhere like you have, but it would seem that the big time coaches and big time programs have weaned out these kind of reporters, and they have a bunch of yes men who ask them questions. Those are the reporters that go with them everywhere. They ask them the softball questions, and those are the guys they want in the room. And you weed those guys out and also make an example out of someone. Like I said, Spurrier has done that. We've heard Dabo go at reporters before. We've heard Mike Gundy go at reporters. It's what big time coaches do. You get rid of that one guy. Everybody else is a little afraid to ask those kind of questions. You have a bunch of yes men in there, and that's proof that you've made it.
That to me, I would also say, is proof of a situation that shows weakness, in my opinion. I get it. It is easier.
It shows weakness, but it also shows power. And that's the power of that coach over that room.
It is amazing how often those two qualities overlap with each other.
Agreed.
Amazing, right?
Agreed.
So, listen, I'll tell you now, because I want you to know. I want you to know. Even though the folks over on the message board are going to be real butthurt about this, all right? Dabo's taking heat today, too, because last night was the first edition of his coach's show. The show that Tyler from Spartanburg called in last year and started the train a rolling.
It was work. Do I have to bring Tyler back out? Because I put that clip away.
We're bringing Tyler back out because last year, Tyler from the Berg made a call that went on a very long time. Tyler from the Berg made a call to Dabo's call-in show. And Tyler from the Berg had some criticisms, critiques, and considerations for the Clemson Tiger football program. And let's be real, Tyler was the motivational factor last year. All right. Tyler was what drove that team in an improvement. So Tyler from Spartanburg called in last year. It was a big deal. Yesterday, a few hours before the beginning of Dabo Swinney's call-in show, it was announced that Dabo ain't taking phone calls this year. You want to ask Dabo something? You may text the Dabo text line. You may text your questions to the station that hosts the Dabo call-in show. You will not call in. Fans will not speak to Dabo. Now, what Clemson said was, and what may or may not be true, was that they wanted to focus this year on what they did with Brad Brownell's show during the basketball season. They did what we've done here on this show. They've made it a more multimedia show. They are streaming it. They are putting it out on video sites. They are being more engaged with social media, yada, yada, yada. But hey, here's the reality. Just like we do here, you can still take phone calls. It doesn't change anything. You put up a graphic with the name of the caller, whatever. And I will tell you that while I do like Dabo, while Dabo has been very kind to me, and the few times I've gotten the opportunity to talk to him and meet him in person, we've shaken hands. We've exchanged pleasantries, been perfectly kind. I've asked him a couple of questions or two that I think it's fair to say are mildly uncomfortable, or maybe even a bit critical, and he's always answered those questions, no problem. I did it about Cade Klubnik at ACC Media Days. I pointed out, I think the way that you are putting everything on Cade last year is a little bit hypercritical, and I feel like it might make it tough for you to coach him. Can you tell me how that relationship works when you consistently put everything on Cade Klubnik, and you're also trying to develop him? And he had a wonderful answer, and I appreciated that. But when you turn around the next year and you go, yeah, I ain't taking phone calls. Yeah. Do you see how there's a look to it? Do you see how there's a vibe to it? Do you see how it kind of makes you look some kind of way, especially when last year, post the work or not, post the Tyler from Spartanburg call, you flew off the handle at the guy. It makes it feel like you are willing to push out the fans who for years and years and years have been able to call you on your call-in show, address you, talk to you, give you, the leader of their beloved football program, their questions, their thoughts, their considerations, and you've always answered them. So a year after a fan does that, and you flew off the handle at him, now all of a sudden you don't take calls anymore. It may be for a perfectly justifiable reason, but you also have to acknowledge it comes with a certain kind of look. I feel the same way about Deion Sanders banning this guy. You may actually be right in that this guy is a little bit of a hole. Maybe you're right. But even if he's a little bit of a hole, by banning him from the game, there's a certain kind of look. And to me, that look is this dude asks you very genuine, very legitimate questions, and you don't have the answer. And instead of going and finding the answers and answering his questions in a way that the fans go, yeah, take that, Scott Keeler. Suck it, Scott Keeler, you loser. Instead of giving him those answers, instead, what you have done is decided to make it look to, as far as I'm concerned, Colorado Buffalo fans, like you ain't got answers. And instead of coming up with them, you're just going to avoid the question. Can't give a bad answer if there's nobody asking a question.
It's just a normal coach thing to me. Just is. It's not unusual. I've seen it happen a bunch of times. As far as Dabo goes, he's not worried about your Diddy. He's not worried about your granddiddy. He's worried about the 20-somethings and the people younger than that, and you're going to reach them a lot quicker by being live on social media and all that kind of stuff. Phone calls are becoming passé in radio and everywhere. They just are. I mean, we have seen the turn here, and not just on this station, but on other stations. The people who call in usually are older. Being able to control the environment is a lot better for the person who's doing the thing. I understand why he's doing it. And you know what can ruin an entire show? A bad phone call. Not saying that we want a bad phone call.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Lonzo, you've been playing this game for a very long time. It's a real easy solution to that. Have a good call screener, a good producer who at some point when it starts getting bad goes, click, all right, coach, we're done with that phone call, move on. That's how this industry has worked for 100 years. Now, I'm not saying
there are people who lie to get on the air and they say something totally different.
Cut them like every other show in the history of radio.
I do that, and then I usually get a talking to afterwards. Well, why'd you cut them? Because it's my job and I wanted to.
Here's where I land on the whole thing. Everything you just said, let's say it's all right. Let's say you're entirely 100% correct. I don't agree with you on everything. Some I do, some I don't. All right. I do not think that phone calls are going by the wayside because I think at the end of the day, people talking to people drives this. All right. But let's say you're right for the sake of the discussion. Everything you said is right. That this is them honestly, Scouts honor, legitimately for Dabo's show. Legitimately, Scouts honor, guys. It's not that we're trying to control the messaging or control the narrative. It is genuinely that we are trying to become a more internet-friendly show. We're trying to engage more with social media. We're trying to pick up streaming views. We're trying to pick up viewers online. Because they did it with Brad Brownell. So let's say that's all accurate. Number one, we can still take phone calls. And number two.
By the way, I just want to point out, I'm sorry. Don't get upset with me. That is, even as an older guy, as a grandpa, that being on video, which I didn't know was on stream now, that's more appealing to me than listening to Dabo.
I got it. I agree.
Just is.
I understand. Trust me. I watch more podcasts than I listen to. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. BetMGM tonight, even when I'm not hosting, you know how I ingest that? I watch it on Twitch. All right? I watch it because to me, I can get more out of the host when I can see them. Just like this is why me being in studio with you is better than me being at the house on the stream. Because even if you can see me on the stream, it's a hell of a lot different when you and I are looking across the board, making eye contact and reading body language and all that, right?
We don't do that usually because you're just always angry at me. But every once in a while.
You know me. I'm like the Hulk. So.
Not anymore. You've lost too much weight to be a Hulk.
I'm like She-Hulk.
Whatever you identify as.
So here's the thought. Even if all that's correct, let's say theoretically it 100% is because of the Brad Brownell show and they want to go more modern and they want to go with the stream because I agree. Watching a stream is better than just listening to audio. I agree with everything you said in that aspect of it. I agree with all of that. What I am going to say is we all know you can still take calls. McAfee's stream of his pod is the biggest streamed podcast in the world in sports. He takes calls all the time. We stream on this show. When we get calls, those calls go on the air, right? That's a washout excuse, all right? And again, BetMGM tonight, when we have a host or have a call that is a guest, you know what they do? They build up a little graphic. Just got a little box in the middle, and all you got to do is type the name and the location into that box, and then bang, pop it up on the screen. And now you don't even have to worry about anything. So that doesn't really sell me on it. And number two, I will say a big chunk of this is the Tyler from Spartanburg call last year, where whether you think it was a work or not is irrelevant. The public perception is Dabo lost his cool. Dabo lost his cool after the Tyler from Spartanburg call. And what did it do? It's not that Dabo lost his cool, because let's be real, we love coaches who lose their cool. Don't we, Mike Gundy, who is a man and is 40? We love that guy. That guy's still at Oklahoma State 17 years later. We love that guy. We love the old ball coach throwing the visor into the ground, losing his cool.
Dabo has a bunch of audio that's been used over and over again where he's lost his cool.
Sure.
Even people telling him things that weren't true, and he just went nuts on it.
But there is a difference. There is a difference between losing your cool and being a passionate, heated coach and losing control. There's a difference. You can be angry, but controlled. You can be full of rage, but still have it under control. Or you can Hulk out. You can lose control. You become reckless. You lose control of the situation. I'm not saying that's what Dabo did after the Tyler from Spartanburg call. I don't believe it is. In fact, after that call last year, I'm like, yeah, I kind of get where Dabo's coming from here. Like, he's not wrong. But the public perception, and let's be real, that's the most important thing. The public perception was that Dabo lost his cool after that call last year. And if Dabo lost his cool and then immediately the next season goes, yeah, I'm not talking to y'all anymore. I'm not talking to the fans anymore. What it says to me, right or wrong, correct or incorrect, is that he's afraid of that happening again. And instead of having the confrontation with the fans and teaching himself how to address this in a way that doesn't make him lose his cool, he's just going to avoid it altogether. Same with Deion Sanders. Can't give a bad answer if you don't allow the question to be asked in the first place. Now, the Dabo Sweeney of Sports Flashes, Lonzo.
Wow. I think Full of Rage is like a Rage Against the Machine cover band, maybe. One issue is off the table for the Dallas Cowboys as the team agreed yesterday to a 4-year, $136 million deal with wide receiver CeeDee Lamb that makes him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The deal includes $38 million in signing bonus, the most ever given to a wide receiver, and $100 million in guaranteed money. After a rain-delayed Atlanta Braves rode a solid 5-inning, 7-strikeout performance from Max Fried to a 10-6 win over the Twins in the first game of a 7-game road trip, Atlanta finished the night with 13 hits, including home runs from Matt Olson and Travis d'Arnaud. Hey, make sure you tune in this Saturday at 5:30 as the Furman Paladins get their college football season started as they take on the Ole Miss Rebels. It's Furman versus Ole Miss right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, upstate. Uh-oh, not a snag. I hate when there's a snag.
Football, basketball, pickleball, cross training, mud events, Spartan races and things like that.
Spartan races. The heck is a Spartan race?
He found a natural way to get lasting relief. QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies. We're using my body's natural abilities to get better. And that's huge. In time, that's going to be the way of the future. Using your own body's ability to heal. Now I can play day to day and not have that severe pain. Now he's back out there doing what he loves, thanks to QC Kinetics. Life is good. You're not going to slow me down. Leave the pain behind and get moving. Book your free consultation today with QC Kinetics. Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
You know that house on the block with the perfect lawn? Don't you envy them? That's just jealousy getting to you. Be the house on the block they envy. Just get to CarolinaTopDressing.com and sign up for your free quotes. Since 2007, Carolina Top Dressing has been transforming, smoothing, and nourishing lawns around upstate South Carolina. We are passionate about giving you the healthiest yard on the block, residential or commercial, with top dressing, aerating, and overseeding services. Trust Carolina Top Dressing with your curb appeal. CarolinaTopDressing.com.
Madworld Haunted Attraction opens September 6th. Get ready for the upstate's most anticipated event of the year. Madworld is much more than just a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Enjoy mini golf, axe throwing, carnival games, food, bonfire, roaming characters, and fun for the whole family. Located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Grab your friends and get ready to scream. Buy your tickets now at madworldattractions.com. That's Madworld Attractions.
Well, hey there, neighbor. What's wrong with that fucking machine there? Hey there, Mark. I'm making some space for the new pool. Hey, did you already call 811 before you got started? Nah, I didn't call them. And you need to call them before you start digging. You're bound to hit something under there digging blind. I'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? Dang it. You should have called 811.
Dang it.
Sponsored by South Carolina 811, SCBA, and this station.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and
I
supplements.
bought a bottle of maple syrup.
Did you?
Yeah. I couldn't stop myself.
What's up, Kevin?
Kevin, what's up, big dog? Welcome in. Good to have you back. Been a minute since we've seen you, I think.
You could be watching without, commenting. That doesn't mean,
That's true, but I wouldn't know. Ba-dum-bum-ba-na-na.
New life in the first break.
10-4.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Dude, have you been following the story of these astronauts that are stuck on the ISS?
Yeah. Yes,
It's like the beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah, they can't come back till next year.
Yeah. They're going to spend Christmas on the ISS because they're stuck. They were trying to send up a Boeing rocket, which I got to tell you, based on what's going on with Boeing planes later, I don't think I'd let Boeing get me back from space. I think I just live here now, everybody. I think I'm just a perma space guy now. But yeah, they're stuck up there for what is it? Like an additional 8 months.
Yeah, until February, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think it's Elon Musk is going to get them down, I believe.
Yeah, I think SpaceX is working on it in tandem with NASA. Here's the crazy thing. I thought about this. Great one, in I was going to say radio, but really in any business. All of us that get hit with that week where the boss is like, hey, I need you to put in 10 hours overtime this week. We're like, ugh, these guys are getting 9 months of overtime. 9 months of overtime. You know what that means? When they come back, Lonzo, that next paycheck's going to be astronomical.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's going to be out of this world.
I'm just, to me, because how my brain works, work being the key word there, that they're keeping them up there, hoping that a spark ignites and that, something happens.
God, Lonzo.
So that the first baby born in space could happen.
I believe they're both married to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they're separated right now, aren't they?
Tell you right now,
separated by the
longest separation. Yeah. Babe, if you wanted to break up with me, you could just say so. You didn't have to go to space for a year. Could have just said I'm moving out. Yeah, I couldn't get far enough from where
I'm also thinking of the Russian dude from Armageddon who's like stuck on the space station or whatever forever, and they ended up getting him, and nothing works, and he's just
That's
well, I think there are a lot of things that will be interesting when they finally do come back to Earth, hopefully safely. Can they handle solid food anymore? What are the effects of non-gravity for that length of time? There's just a lot of things.
Jokes aside, apparently the young lady who is up there, apparently she is so being in space because of the zero gravity and because of the fact that everything in your body without gravity, everything in your body begins to atrophy. She apparently was already having problems with her vision, which the eye muscles are one of the first muscles that begin to weaken, not in gravity. She's at the point where she's starting to have eye issues. And so they're actually very concerned about that, but there's also not much they can do about it, right? Like, it's not like they can just send up another rocket. You got to have the rocket to get up there, but then you've got to have the retrieval system and you've got to have the docking. So you got to have all these different things to be able to get this lady and this fella and get them down. It's a wild story, but 9 extra months in space. And it ain't exactly like that's, I see on Instagram all the time where people put up like pictures of beachside mansions and they're like, would you stay here for 1 year without internet for $1 million? I'm like, I'd do it for free. Are you kidding me? I'd do it for free. If you were going to pay me $1 million to just live in a house by the beach with no internet, I'd do it for free. The ISS isn't exactly a beachside mansion, man. If you ever watch the YouTube videos of these astronauts when they give tours of the ISS, it's cramped, dude. Like, it's cramped. And these two are just genuinely stuck up there. That's wild.
Yeah, I think I'd have a psychotic episode by now.
Lonzo would be the horror movie.
I was more thinking of trying to open the door, but I mean,
screw it. I'm done. I'm going out.
Exactly.
Hey, would you look at that? It's 7:05 in the morning. You got about 55 minutes, so you got to get to the office, get to work, clock in, lock in, get your day started. And when you do, I know what you're looking forward to. It ain't Friday's paycheck. It ain't that catered lunch the boss is serving you on Wednesday. You're looking forward to that first break. You're looking forward to that first break when you walk down the hallway and you go meet Bill from accounting and you guys talk a little sports. That's what you're looking forward to. I know, but in order to do that, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
You must chill!
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go!
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. Let us dive in head first with item number 1. This isn't like the most impactful story ever, but I think it's a kind of cool little moment in baseball history. All right. I love when you see something happen that has never happened before. I certainly love it when it's never happened before and will likely never happen again. Not that it won't, but baseball's been around for a very long time. And despite the fact that baseball's been around for a very long time, this is the first time that this has happened. Yesterday, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox got together to play the back end of a game that started back on June 26th. On June 26th, that game had to be put on pause because of a little rainstorm, a little thunder shower that came through. At the time that thunder shower came through, Blue Jays catcher Danny Jansen was at the plate. The game was called while Jansen was in the middle of an AB, which means that when the game was resumed, whenever it was resumed, which ended up being yesterday, Danny Jansen would be scheduled to come back to the plate, or someone would come up and pick up in his at-bat where it left off as a pinch hitter. Well, that is what had to happen. Why? Because before the trade deadline, Danny Jansen got traded away from Toronto. To whomst, you ask? To the Boston Red Sox. Yesterday, when this game resumed, Danny Jansen was behind the plate as a catcher for an at-bat that he started. He caught his own at-bat. Danny Vacho was sent up to be the pinch hitter in place of Danny Jansen. And Jansen ended up being the only player in the history of Major League Baseball who played for both teams in the same game. Now, we have seen situations before where a guy has been traded in a game. We have seen a situation before where a guy has been traded in a game to the team that team was playing. He literally packed up his gear and walked to the other clubhouse and was just a member of that team now. That's happened many times in Major League Baseball. But never before has a player started a game with one team and finished the game with the other. Danny Jansen did that yesterday. Red Sox manager Alex Cora was asked if he was going to play Danny Jansen when the suspended game resumed, because Jansen is not the starting catcher for the Boston Red Sox. And Alex Cora said, absolutely, quote, let's make history, end quote. Cora said after the game last night, quote, it was a very cool moment just to be a part of it. I don't know if it's going to happen again. It has to kind of like be the perfect storm for that to happen, starting with the storm. And I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it, end quote. The game resumed 65 days, 18 hours, and 35 minutes after it began. And the Red Sox media relations coordinator, Davison Perez, announced the changes in the Fenway press box, saying, quote, pinch hitting for Danny Jansen, Dalton Varsho, defensive change, Danny Jansen, now at catcher. If you missed it, you missed a little bit of baseball history last night. Let's go to item number 2. In a story that we are going to talk about here in just a few moments on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate, I have no idea why I suddenly turned into Captain James T. Kirk. It just kind of happened. Where's my James T. Kirk clip? Where'd Shatner go? Whatever. Doesn't matter.
I marvel at your organizational skills.
That's in the red, like this whole side of the screen now. I filled it up with so much stuff, it's all red.
Yeah, I've seen that. When everything's the same color. There you go.
There's Captain Kirk. Rolanda Brandon is the mother of class of 2025 high school quarterback Faison Brandon. He is ranked number 32 in the ESPN Junior 300, is the number 4 pocket passer in the class of 2025, and is committed to the Tennessee Volunteers. Well, his mother, Rolanda Brandon, has filed a lawsuit against the North Carolina public education system. Why? Because, according to the lawsuit filed by Brandon, a major national trading card company offered an NIL deal to Faison Brandon. They were going to have him do a merchandise signing as a commitment to the University of Tennessee. They were going to make him some cards and whatever other merch, and he was going to go sit at a table, and he was going to sign those things for fans, and they were going to pay him mucho dinero in order to do so. Well, back in July of this year, back in the middle of this year, back in June of this year, the North Carolina State Board of Education and the Department of Public Instruction laid out some new guidelines, some protocols that prevent high school students in public schools, not private schools, but public schools, from accepting NIL money. If you are a high school athlete and you accept NIL money, you become ineligible to be that anymore. So, this lawsuit effectively says that high school students, just like college students, should be allowed to earn NIL money, should be allowed to utilize their name, image, and likeness in order to gain public funds, in order to gain mucho dinero, in order to gain a paycheck and still be allowed to play high school athletics. We'll talk about this lawsuit a bit more in depth coming up in a few minutes, because I do think there is the potential for massive change because of it. And item number 3, question mark? You got to do the sound yourself then.
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, come on, dude.
You do
Come
it.
on.
How are you going to do it? I clicked on something. I can't get it off of here.
Blub, 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 blub. That was a
Wow.
That was a C- effort, great one.
Well, I want you to do better. I mean, you know.
Look, at least change the pitch a little bit, you know?
So that's better. Okay,
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Yeah, that was better.
And all the stretching doesn't help. I still can't get I'm trying. You know what? I'm just shutting the whole thing down.
The Atlanta Braves win a 10-6 contest on the road over the Minnesota Twins last night. It was the first game in a 7-game road sweep that Atlanta is on. They're only playing 2 opponents in that 7 games. They have a 3-game set a 3-game set on the road at Minnesota. They take the first last night, 10-6, on the back of a 5-inning, 7K effort from Braves pitcher Max Fried. It puts him above 500, as he is now 8-7 on the season. I do like to point out, as I did last night on BetMGM tonight, it will again right now, that of those 7 losses for Max Fried, a majority of them came in 1-run games where it was a total of under 5. Max Fried effectively has watched a lot of games where he has pitched well enough to win, but had 0 run support. That was not the case last night. Atlanta had 13 hits in this ball game. They led this game 9-1 after 2 innings. They stopped pressing after that, got another one back in the 6th inning in order to increase the lead to 10 at that point to 3. They did let Minnesota score one in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, but at that point, Minnesota was just kind of fighting uphill, and Atlanta was just kind of coasting to a victory. Michael Harris II did not start this game after being hit in the hand by a pitch in the last contest Atlanta was in, but he did make his way back out onto the field, took over for Jorge Soler in center field about midway through this contest. He went 0 for 1. Marcell Ozuna went 2 for 4 with a pair of ribbies. Matt Olson 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs, including a dinger. Travis d'Arnaud went yad as well, 1 for 5, but had a pair of ribbies in the contest. The big night, Whit Merrifield, 5 for 5 from the dish last night. That'll help the batting average out just a little bit. All of the sudden, the Braves' bats starting to wake up a little bit. Here's the good news. Atlanta's bats kind of starting to find the baseball a little bit. Some lumber starting to hit leather every now and then. Here's the bad news. The bad news is the Phillies are kind of finding their groove a little bit as well. The Phillies able to walk off the Astros last night in the 10th inning, so their lead remains at 6 games above the Atlanta Braves. The good news for Atlanta, no Mets game, no Mets loss yesterday, meaning that the Bravos have grown their lead for the final wild card spot to a full 3 games now. They lead the Mets by 3 games in the hunt for that final wild card spot. Overall, as your wild card standings are today, and yes, we will be checking in on this daily as we have less than 30 games remaining in the regular season. The Diamondbacks are 4 games up on the Braves for the first wild card. The Padres 3 games up on Atlanta for the second wild card. The Braves currently hold the 3rd wild card spot with a 3-game lead over the Mets, 5.5-game lead over the Giants and the Cubs, a 6-game lead over the Cardinals, 8 over the Reds, 9 over the Pirates. Everybody else is 12.5 games or further out as of today. So Atlanta does have 3 against Minnesota. After these 3, they've got 4 against the Phillies in Philadelphia, and that will either be a huge opportunity or a massive disaster. Let's talk about that lawsuit when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Good life.
All right, guys, quick live right here, and we're coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. hanging off the tree. Oof.
And
No
so
idea.
I have one of those things on a pole where you can trim trees really high. I don't know what it's called. It also has a little saw on the end of it. And I never extended it all the way to the end. And so I think with the extension, it's probably like 12 feet. Plus me being able to hold it up, I was able to knock the branch down. And pole saw. Okay.
Pole saw. I didn't-
Thanks, Steven. I know I bought it. I don't remember what it was called. Saw not very effective when it's really high because you're having to do this and
Oh, so the one my dad used to have, it was very cool. The saw was on a spring, and it had a rope connected to a handle. And so you basically laid it on the branch, and it had a handle. And when you pulled the handle, it moved the saw back and forth for you. So you didn't have to move the whole pole.
Oh.
You set it down, and then you squeeze the handle. And it had a little clamp on it, like a spring-loaded clamp. So it pulled the saw onto the branch. So you lock that. And
well,
then you
I
squeeze the
have
handle.
that, but it's just basically the scissor things, but just the round thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't move the saw.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. The North Carolina State Board of Education and North Carolina Department of Public Instruction both named as defendants in a lawsuit that has been filed by the mother of a high school recruit who is committed to play for the Tennessee Volunteers. Faison Brandon is ranked the number 4 pocket passer in the class of 2025, the number 32 overall ESPN recruit for next year. The North Carolina State Board of Education and Department of Public Instruction back in June of this year put down a new policy. That policy blocks state public school athletes from making money through the use of their name, image, and likeness. If they are to make money in NIL, they are no longer eligible to participate in state-run high school athletics. This lawsuit seeks to challenge that policy. Charlotte-based attorney Mike Ingersoll said in a statement to the Charlotte Observer, quote, "The State Board of Education was asked to create rules allowing public high school athletes to use their NIL. It was not empowered to ban it. We look forward to correcting the state board's error and to help our client benefit from the incredible value and opportunities his hard work and commitment have created for his name, image, and likeness." In the complaint, the mother of the student athlete, whose name is Rolanda Brandon, says that a, quote, "prominent national trading card company," end quote, has agreed to pay for Faison to sign memorabilia before graduation and offered the family, quote, "financial security for years to come," end quote. That according to WRAL out of Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina amongst the states that do not permit NIL activities such as endorsements for public appearances at camps or autograph signings, all of which have become common at the college level. The restriction, however, and this is going to be a part of the lawsuit, the restriction does not apply to private school athletes, such as fellow Tennessee recruit David Sanders, the number 4 overall prospect in the 2025 ESPN recruiting rankings, who plays for Charlotte's Providence Day School. Sanders has a website on which he sells merchandise with his name, image, and likeness on it in return for a profit. So this lawsuit basically is going to challenge the state of North Carolina and the policy that they laid down earlier this year that says student athletes are not allowed to use NIL within the state of North Carolina. I am, TBH, quite interested in this lawsuit and its outcome because there are some states, I believe Florida, for instance, is one of them. There are some states that have indeed begun allowing or are in the process of beginning to allow high school athletes to collect NIL money, to utilize their name, image, and likeness in order to profit off of it. I think this is interesting, and I think a large part of the reason that it is interesting to me is because, especially in a more conservative state, I am very curious as to what the reasoning is going to be from preventing anyone from making money in a way that has nothing to do, frankly, with their education. Has nothing to do with their education, has nothing to do with their football prowess. Now, I assume that one of the arguments that you are going to hear is this is a way to try to spread out the talent to high schools across the state, right? Because if you allow NIL money, high schools in Charlotte are going to have a dramatic advantage over high schools in Beaufort. That's in South Carolina, isn't it? Is there a Beaufort, North Carolina?
There's definitely a Beaufort in South Carolina. I think there's one in North Carolina. Should have just said Greenville.
There is a Beaufort in North Carolina.
All right.
So Beaufort, F-O-R-T.
Is it Beaufort?
It's
Beaufort.
I mean, for me, that'd be Beaufort.
Okay, yeah, because I when I first moved here, half my life ago, I called it Beaufort and was criticized for that.
I mean, that is what it is. That is what
How would you
that
pronounce
is.
it in Cajun, though?
Well, I take that back. In the dialect of my weird ass people, it'd be Beaufort. All right. But also B-E-A-U is how you start the word beautiful. So I can see people saying it's Beaufort. Either way, it's not the point.
Never even thought about that before. Thank you. Because I never understood where in the world they got that from. Okay.
There you go. So either way, Beaufort, Beaufort, however you want to put it. A high school player in Beaufort, North Carolina, out on the Outer Banks, probably would not have the same opportunities as for NIL as an athlete in Charlotte. If you get to a point where, say, the CEO of Charlotte Bank and Trust, who's a billionaire, decided that, he really wanted to give back to his high school, big high school football guy, wants his high school back competing for state championships. So he just puts out an open call and says, anybody who plays for my school, anybody who plays at my high school, you're catching a $50,000 a year NIL deal as a high school player. Okay, yeah, I understand that, but I got a couple of issues with it. Number one, I'd care more about that if you cared more about the equality of schools in the public education system at all. At all. I will tell you, last year, when I was calling high school football games for the past 2 seasons, it blew my mind the disparity between some of the high schools you go to. All right? I'm not going to call any of them out by name. But I can tell you the team that I called games for the last 2 years, you would go to one school, and it was like calling a game at a freaking major D1 university, right? You got a press box that is the lap of luxury, and it's fully catered, and they got coolers for every individual play-by-play guy. It was wild, like refrigerators that are stocked for you. And then you'd go to another school, and they would have a non-air conditioned press box that was made out of cinder blocks that I'm pretty sure were placed there in the 1600s. And the only way to call a game was you had to fight the legion of spiders and raccoons that inhabited that press box. It's already an unequal system. It's already a system where there are schools that are luxury and there are schools that are run down as hell and can't catch a break. So don't hit me with, well, the equality matters to us. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because if that was the case, I wouldn't be spending one Friday night in a press box that I considered never leaving, and another Friday in a press box that I felt like I might have needed to carry heat to make sure I was getting out of there safe. All right? So don't hit me with that. So I'm interested to hear what these kids aren't responsible enough to do this. Really? Because I don't know about you. I had a job as a high school junior. So it's okay for me to have to go to work for hours and hours.
Did you save all that money or did you blow it on movies and video games?
Doesn't matter. It's my money. Doesn't matter if I'm 16 or 66.
I'm just asking what you did with your money from your
Oh,
job.
I blew it.
Okay.
The only reason I was working was to get money to blow.
Okay.
But
all
the
right.
point is, once I've earned that money, it ain't your damn business what I do with it. In that kind of a massive platform.
Unless you use it for illegal means, then it's
No, I would say even that. I'm a big fan of the mind your damn business platform. All right? Mind your damn business. So for me, none of the arguments that I hear against this, once again, here we go again, are anything more than I don't like it. Well, I got news for you, kids. I don't like it ain't a legal argument. It's not. This lawsuit's going to win. Book that. High school kids are getting NIL money, and that will be a nationwide phenomenon within the next 2 years. Now, what impact does it have on sports? That's a conversation we can have on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Again, so my question here, Donovan, is, so are you telling me that there is, because listen, Liberab the Woke Warriors is in focus here. Let me ask you the question. Are you telling me that we should have a line in the sand where if you earn X amount of money, there is a different set of rules for you? Because I'm fine with that, but I would be very careful with the fire that you are playing with there, right? Like if you are telling me that you think you should be able to draw a line in the sand and say, if you make above this number, there's a different set of rules for you. You have to accomplish these things with that. I'm good with that. But I want you to just think about where else I can put that in play. And if you are going to ask a court to make that ruling, okay. But where else am I going to be allowed to place that rule? Or do you get to go high school athletes only, and your legal argument is because I said so? Because I'll tell you, you're going to get smoked. If you that policy was put in play under the I don't like it clause, not a good thing, number one. And number two, if you're going to put rules into play where if you make X amount, there's a different set of rules for you, I am going to start applying that principle to a lot of other places, to fund a lot of other things. And at that point, to fight that, then you're going to have to lean on the that's not what I meant, bro, clause. Another failure of a legal defense. So to me, it doesn't matter if I make $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour. If I have the opportunity to make that money, I should be able to make that money. And it doesn't matter if I'm a high school athlete or a 40-year-old fat out of shape radio host.
Have you been contacted by AARP yet?
I've been getting contacted by AARP for like 2 years now.
Okay.
They are prepping me.
They push.
They are
That's why I'm
prepping
asking.
me.
Yeah.
Rolling on with the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, talking about this lawsuit that a 2025 college football recruit out of North Carolina's mother has filed against the NC State Board of Education. Back in June of last year, if you missed the last segment, to set you up here. Back in June of last year, the NC State Board of Education put down a new set of guidelines that said high school athletes in the public school system are not eligible or allowed to receive NIL money. The mother of this recruit is saying in her lawsuit that a major national trading card company approached her son about the possibility of doing effectively autograph signings, meet and greets. He has already received an offer from and accepted an offer from, committed to go play for the University of Tennessee. So the mother is claiming in this lawsuit that a major trading card company offered her baby boy mucho dinero in order to start doing autograph signings, meet and greets, yada, yada, yada. But if he can't accept them, he has to say no to them, because if he says yes to them, he is no longer eligible to play football or participate in high school athletics in the North Carolina public education system. This lawsuit seeks to challenge that. Now, you guys know where I've fallen on NIL. I am pro NIL. I am on board for NIL. I think, much like all of us, that if you have done something to create a brand where people wish to give you money in order to be connected to your brand, you should have the right to do it, with the caveat, with the understanding that you are held socially responsible for whatever consequences come with that, right? If you as an NIL participant get hooked up with a company that has a very negative public image and people start to call you out on that, and there are social consequences for your participation in that NIL activity, that's a you problem, all right? That's on you. I think a lot of people have gotten to the point, and I'm not saying that people aren't legitimately canceled, but I think a lot of people have kind of lost the thread that being canceled, yeah, more often than not, that's social consequences. That ain't being canceled. That's having an opinion that does not register with the public at large. And the public at large, just like you're allowed to have that opinion, the public at large is allowed to have the opinion that your opinion's bad. All right? This whole concept that we have to respect everyone's opinions. No, I don't. No, I don't. If you got a crap opinion, I'm going to disrespect it. That's kind of how life works. If that ain't good for you, you're going to have a long haul ahead of you. All right? So, all of that being said, I feel the same way about a high school athlete as I do about a college athlete. If they have the right, if they have the ability to build a brand that people wish to connect their brand with that brand, and they are willing to give that person money to do so, it should be up to that person whether or not they want to connect those brands and make that money or not. All right? That's it. Texture said, how do you feel about NIL for high schoolers, though? Same way I feel about college athletes. It's their life. They are the ones. I'll tell you what. If you don't think that high school athletes should be allowed to make NIL, college athletes should not be allowed to make NIL, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through two-a-days this August. I want you to go through two-a-days in the spring. I want you out there at 6 a.m. running gassers, at 7 a.m. running Oklahoma drills, at 8 a.m. catching passes across the middle. Then I want you to go home. I want you to rest and recover. And I want you to come back at 2 p.m. to run it back and do it again. And then I want you to say, yeah, no. I don't want compensation for that. I'm just doing it for the love of the game.
Wow, you got to go home?
During our two-a-days? Yeah, we had like a 4-hour break. Between two-a-days.
We had like a half hour.
That's not two-a-days. That's one a day with a break. That ain't two-a-days.
Well, anyway.
That's one really long a day. It's not the same. It's still bad. I'm not poo-pooing it. Still bad, because I remember two-a-days I went home and I went my ass to sleep for like 2 hours. I'll see y'all in a couple. I'm getting some Z's. Point here is, here's the reality. We live in a culture, and I'm glad that we do, because it makes daddy money. But we live in a culture that worships sports, right? It is one of America's favorite things. That is why the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry. That is why college football, yeah, pride, pageantry, tradition, all those things exist. But at its core, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. So is the NBA, so is the NHL, so is MLB. We worship sports and our athletes. And because of that, we're doing it down to the high school level. Now, let's keep in mind, one of the things that is going to come up here is that companies are doing this many companies, not all, but many companies are doing this, not just because they want to influence where it is that a high school athlete plays college. They genuinely are doing it as advertising. They are genuinely doing it so that their brand's connected to this kid. Because if this kid, Faison Brandon, if this kid who is a top 4 quarterback in next year's recruiting class, if he goes to the University of Tennessee and he goes into the University of Tennessee and he becomes a Heisman Trophy finalist his freshman year, right? He's in competition for all the awards. He's going to New York City. They're singing about, New York City. They're singing about him in radio, right? He becomes the face of the volunteer athletic department. Well, if you pick this kid up on an NIL deal when he's a high school junior and you've been giving this kid $5-10 grand a month, every month, all the way up till college, you probably built some loyalty with that guy, right? He's probably going to look at you and go, yeah, man. Yeah. Bob's playing cards. Bob's got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies here. Bob's playing cards, Bob's trading cards has been taking care of me and my family since I was a high school junior. And so now that I'm at Tennessee and I am the face of the program, I'm still going to support Bob's Trading Cards. Y'all come on down to Bob's Trading Cards Card Emporium and pick up your Brendan Fraser or your Fraser Brandon. I forgot his name for a second there. Your Brendan Fraser trading. Maybe I'd buy a Brendan Fraser trading card. That man's a national treasure. All right.
Back when he was in shape or now where he's got the
he's a national treasure, man.
Okay, all right.
Have you seen the whale? It's incredible.
No, it looks too serious.
It's incredible. And you know what else is incredible?
I don't watch 5,000-pound sisters either. I mean, whatever.
I mean, that doesn't exactly provide the same level of culture, but
isn't it kind of the same thing?
No, it's not at all the same thing. As somebody who's watched both, it's not the same.
I do. Isn't Max from Stranger Things in that? In the whale, I believe.
I saw it when it came out. I haven't seen it since then. I don't remember. Which one's Max? It's less about that, more about Stranger Things. I watched like 6 episodes of season 1 and I kind of bailed out on it. Wow. So I don't know. Like, it was all right. I think it was overhyped a little bit, to be honest. It was all right. It was all right.
You should have kept watching.
It was all right. Anyway, point here is, he's going to have some loyalty. So when he gets to Tennessee and he becomes the face of Tennessee athletics, maybe the face of college football, I think at that point, he's going to stay loyal to Bob's Used Cards. And he's going to say, come on down to Bob's Used Card Emporium and pick up your Fraser Brandon trading cards and your Brendan Fraser trading cards. We got a Rookie the Mummy card that you can catch on special right now. So this is about advertising as much as it is anything else.
So they have an EV card too? Because I wouldn't mind having one of those.
Rachel. What up, girl? What up, Rachel Whites? Still got it, by the way. So, point of Brendan Fraser, just treasure. I can't say it enough. All right, just a treasure. So, anyway, I don't have an issue with it. I think if anybody is capable of doing anything that builds a brand that people want to give them money, they should have the right to do so. And for the record, like with me, for instance, I'll use me as an example because, hey, there ain't much I like talking about more than me. I'm the Terrell Owens of Sports Talk host, all right? I work on building a brand every single day. But part of my agreement in working here is that I just can't go accept willy-nilly money from any company to put my face on the front of their business, right? I can't. It's got to be run through the station. That is an agreement that I made for full-time employment here. However, if I got canned tomorrow and let go and I go start the Rob Brown Show pod and I start podcasting this show and I don't have a corporate restriction where I agreed in return for a full-time job not to endorse anything without their permission, do you know what I could do? I could go right outside and go start promoting myself and I can accept an endorsement from any damn person I want. All right? That's NIL. That's all it is. So with all of those things, that are out there, I don't have an issue. And before you hit me with, oh, it's equality, Rob. It's equality. We don't want kids who are at some small 2A country school to start leaving in mass to go to Charlotte to go play for a big old 5A school that's got a billionaire fundraiser behind it. My guy, that's already a thing. That already happens. Kids are already doing that. If you want me to fall for that argument, then fix the schools across the board where every school's got an equal caliber facility. But the reality is that ain't going to happen. And if that ain't going to happen, why is it the only people that should be limited because of that are the football players, the basketball players, the baseball players, whoever? Why are the only people that should be held up and not benefit off their name, image, and likeness are the kids here? We don't hold school board officials or public education officials responsible for the fact that some high school stadiums are nicer than some FCS schools' facilities, while there are other schools in the same county that are playing on bleachers and risers that are 97 years old and have been there since the Civil War. We don't do that. But now, oh no, but these kids, that's too much. That's too much. Nah, that argument don't float with me. All right, a couple of comments that you guys have made so far. Donovan is on the stream right now, facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. He said, in my opinion, I think there ought to be a cap on high school NIL money, or the money needs to go into a trust until they turn a certain age, or the stipulation where the money needs to be, you keep your grades up. You have a certain amount of attendance in school. I just can see some kids getting the money and saying, screw it. Guy, they can already do that. I promise you, if as a high school senior, somebody would come to me and said, Rob Brown, we'd like to give you a $500,000 a year job. Bye-bye. I'll get my diploma when I need it. All right? I'll get my diploma when I need it. But I don't need it if you're giving me a $500K a year job. Why? Again, why is this different from a high school senior getting a job? Why is this different from a high school senior going down to work at the mall or at the Chick-fil-A? And Donovan said, wait a minute, Rob. Wait a minute. When it was your age and you had a summertime job, it was minimum wage, not $10,000 at one time. Okay, fine. But let's play on that argument for just a second. What you were saying is that there are different rules for people who make different amounts of money. Now, I'm good with that, but are you sure that's the path you want to go down? Are you sure you want to say that you accept the premise that if you make above a certain amount, there should be restrictions placed on you? Are you sure you want to play with the premise that if you make above X amount of money, that the rules are different for you? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if that goes through and that is the guideline you work on, the political atmosphere in North Carolina will get real interesting real damn fast if that becomes a legal precedent that goes through in a courtroom. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I want you to think that spot out. Because if you say it for the high school kids, you know it's going to get transposed up to the big dogs too. And we'll see how that goes. Jacob says, when does accepting money happen? Is it at the contract signing or is it when the money hits your account? Perhaps high schoolers could have deferred payment to their again. Why are, and I'm not saying this, I'm saying this to start a conversation. This is not me firing off at you, Donovan, or you, Jacob, or anybody in the stream, and we'll get, or on the text line, and I'll come to the text here in a minute. It blows my mind how many of you guys are so damn ready to start dictating to other people how they're allowed to receive money that ain't got nothing to do with you. It is incredible. And I'm not saying all of you subscribe one direction to the other, but with the overwhelming political demographic of the area, it blows my mind that when this is brought up, how many of you are like chomping at the bit to be allowed to tell other people when, where, how, and how much they're allowed to accept? Is it just me? Because I'll tell you, I've never heard anybody have that same argument about their local garbage man or butcher or barber or pest control guy. I've never heard it. But when it comes to guys who play football, y'all are real damn quick to want to be able to lay down rules about who can get what, how much, at what time, and what regulations come with that. Okay, but be prepared for that to be extrapolated to other aspects of this great American life. That's all I'm saying. Texter said, Rob, you really think these kids are going to look back on who gave them funding at the start? They're just going to move on to the bigger deal. Maybe. And do you know whose risk that is? The business. That's the risk of the business. That don't affect me in the damn least. If Bob's Used Cards gives this kid a card endorsement deal and he signs it for $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 a month, ain't my business. That's between him and Bob's, right? And if he gets to the University of Tennessee and then Dunlop or Topps or Russell or whoever calls him and goes, hey, we want to pay you $10,000 a month more than Bob's, and he accepts that deal, do you know whose problem that is? Bob. That one, not me. That's that Bob's problem, not mine. Again, I don't care because it ain't my business. It ain't my contract. It ain't my money. It ain't my deal. All right? Lonzo with a sports flash.
Finally. After a rain delay, the Atlanta Braves rode a solid 5-inning, 7-strikeout performance from Max Fried to a 10-6 win over the Twins in the first game of a 7-game road trip. Atlanta finished the night with 13 hits, including home runs from Matt Olson and Travis d'Arnaud. Atlanta is 6 games back on Philadelphia in the NL East, but now has a 3-game lead for the final wildcard spot over New York. The Green Bay Packers have a new backup quarterback behind Jordan Love after sending a 7th-round pick to Tennessee in return for former Liberty Flames signal caller Malik Willis. Willis would likely have been the 3rd quarterback behind Will Levis and Mason Rudolph if he had stayed where he was. Hey, make sure you tune in this Friday night at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Irmo, take on the Yellow Jackets. It's Burns versus Irmo right here on your home for Burns Rebels football. That would be us, the Fan, upstate. The Bills have released quarterback Ben DiNucci.
Have they? Old Ben DiNucci.
Can you, on your X, see trending things? Because I cannot.
Well, okay, let me check then.
And haven't for hours now. And I don't know.
Yeah. It's a day late, but you don't have anything written down yet. National Dog Day.
Yeah, mine says no items. I mean, how do I fix that? I don't know. I taken it down and brought it back up. I don't understand why it's.
Can I show you guys what I saw yesterday and I haven't seen ever in my life? I racked my brain for 20 minutes. I was at a mechanic shop yesterday and I saw a punch clock. Like an old school actual punch clock. Y'all, I'm I'm 39 and
Did
a
that
half
make you
years
think
old.
about taking your car elsewhere? Because if they're that
No, quite the
archaic?
opposite. I'm like, if they're still working like that, they've been doing this a long freaking time, right?
I think the last time I used one, I think I was working at a place called the Warehouse Club, which is like Sam's and your favorite place. And I think it's the last time I used one. That was like 90s. New life in the first break.
New life in the first break. At Deadpools by H&D, aka Volton Johnson on Twitter, just said North Carolina says Beaufort or Beaufort. Does the percentage of twang in your accent change the pronunciation of the name of I know it changes the pronunciation of certain words, right? Like y'all ends up with an extra syllable in it. And I'm good with it. Like, that's a lot of my family members that speak like that. I'm 100% fine with it. In fact, you take me out to Crestview, Florida long enough, and I'll end up starting to get a little bit of it drafting back into the accent a little bit. You'll know when I come back home from a country relative's house at a family reunion, when we have it out in the sticks, because a day or two it'll take me to kind of get back to normal. But does the amount of twang in y'all's voice change how you pronounce the name of a city? I know it does, because I've been here 4.5 years now, and y'all are still trying to convince me that Clinton ain't got a T in it.
Told you, a lot of people with no front teeth. And if you don't have front teeth, you can't say T.
No, see, I know people that I've seen them smile, and they got pretty smile.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Those
and
are
they
partials.
say Clinton.
Those are partials, which will click when they try to say a T. So they try not to do that, because then people will go, okay, that looks like you have fake teeth, and they don't want that. So they'll just leave out the T.
Y'all, I drove through Clinton, South Carolina, not terribly long ago on my way down to to St. Augustine. There's a T on the sign that welcomes you to the city. It's a big old fat sign right there driving into the city limits, and it has a T right there on it.
I worked for Presbyterian for a year doing pregame, and which is in Clinton. And so I will tell you, the students that I witnessed and had interaction with in Clinton on PC campus said Clinton.
That's them damn college kids.
Well, yeah, because
they know more than everybody else.
I ain't from here. I ain't from Clinton. I don't know how you're supposed to act when you're from Clinton now.
Zach says Rob's family talks like they're from Jay, Florida. Well, that, Zach, is because one of them is. All right, one of them is. All right, let's get back to sports. We've had a couple of segments worth of conversation about this lawsuit where the mother of a high school recruit is trying to change the rules in North Carolina that say athletes at public schools in that state may not accept NIL money. She is challenging that and saying they should be able to, especially considering the fact that kids in private schools are allowed to. Texter said, we had a couple of texts. Donovan said, didn't the NIL come into play because, pardon me, the universities were making money off the athletes' numbers, posters, etc. I personally don't know if any high schools make money off their athletes for jerseys, posters, signatures, etc. Yes and no, Donovan. A big part of the argument was that schools were making money off of these athletes that the athletes were not allowed to make. But the other side of that argument, the other side of that coin is, even if they weren't, who cares? Even if they weren't, the argument is that these kids should be allowed to utilize their name, image, and likeness in order to build off their personal brand and profit off of it. Again, I signed an agreement here that says I'm not going to accept money from anybody that is not approved by the folks downstairs. I can't do it. But I can also tell you that if I wished to, I could fight that. And theoretically, I'm not going to, but theoretically, I could take that to court. I could say, yes, I agree to work for them. And yes, I agree on the air to endorse only clients that they approve of me putting on their airwaves. However, in my day-to-day personal outside of work life, I should be able to endorse whoever I want. And honestly, I might have a case and I might not. I don't know. I don't really have any interest in doing it, right? But I theoretically could. That's kind of what this is. All right, we'll put that conversation to bed and move on because we got plenty more that we need to cover, we need to talk about here on the show. I do want to get to this. The NFL Week 1 is now a week and 2 days away. Next Thursday night, we start Week 1 with a Thursday night competition between Lonzo's Kansas City Chiefs and the reigning AFC runners-up, Lamar Jackson, the reigning defending undisputed NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson, a contest that is, to me, absolutely worthy of being the NFL's kickoff contest for the 2024 season.
Al will stay awake for that, I'm guessing.
The whole thing?
Yeah, for probably the whole thing, if it's as exciting as the last time they played was.
I can't see any reason why it won't be. TBH. I can't see any reason that's
Maybe
not going to be a
her
banger.
treat will be less awkward this year.
Banger. Banger. Banger.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a
Banger.
banger.
Why did you just not get the whole thing? Why did you just go with just
Banger.
one?
After banger.
There we go.
Well, because in this case,
Banger.
it's just one. On Thursday night, there shall be only one.
Banger.
On Saturday, there will be.
Banger. After banger. After banger.
And on Sunday, there will be.
Banger. After banger.
Well,
After banger. After banger.
One more banger. On
yeah,
Sunday.
but Sunday nights haven't typically been good lately, so I don't know if that will be a banger. I didn't check to see what the Sunday night game is.
I think we've been sans football for so long. I sat there and watched a New Mexico State game on Saturday. Every game's going to be a banger for NFL Week 1. But here's the thought. Here's the question. As a texter has texted the show, 71307, start your text with fan and start it with fan. Text is 71307. Texter says, let me dramatic acting. Sports. So here's some sports. Which
wait. It can't be him because he did.
No, I don't think it's Ray. That might be son of Ray. That might be Ray 2. Ray Jr. Ray.
So we're just assuming here that Ray was able to procreate. I mean, with as uptight as Ray was, I don't know.
My dude, I know some crotchety old men who crotches. They got kids, all right? So some of y'all older fellas, y'all either had a personality shift or the ladies put up with a lot more back in the day.
Well, I mean, the women are attracted to the bad dudes, supposedly.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true. The ladies love a bad boy.
And the jerks always seem to be with the hot girls. So
the ladies love a bad boy. That's why I have just been the cream of the crop. Yeah. With the ladies over the years, because they just love a bad boy like me. All right.
Yeah. Look at you wearing your all white. It's so deceptive.
Which NFL head coach is catching the hook first? There is a list put out by Yahoo Sports of coaches that are on the hot seat.
Is Eberflus on there? Because when he fails with what's supposed to be a spectacular offense.
Oh, they will blame him.
Yeah.
They will blame him. Here's the coaches that are on the list from Yahoo Sports. Great one. The list includes Mike McCarthy for the Dallas Cowboys, Robert Saleh from the New York Jets, Doug Peterson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Daboll from the New York Football Giants, Nick Sirianni with the Philadelphia Eagles, Matt Eberflus of the Chicago Bears, and Dennis Allen. Yay! He's on the list.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but isn't he on the list every year?
No, he was on the list last year, and he's way on the list this year.
Okay. So this list is in order? Because if it is, he's like way down on the list.
This list is in no particular order. These are not the available betting odds, which are out, by the way. Let me see if I can find those. Next coach fired. Here are your odds for the next NFL coach to be hired, since the great one brought it up. A pair of coaches, clubhouse leaders at 4.5 to 1. Robert Saleh of the New York Jets, Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys. Next up, a pair of guys who are 5 to 1, so just a hair's breadth longer or shorter odds. Matt Eberflus of the Bears, Dennis Allen of the Saints. There is a big drop from 5 to 1 down to 12 to 1, where you find Brian Daboll of the New York Giants. 15 to 1, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles are both 15 to 1. Todd Bowles of the Buccaneers is 20 to 1, or you can select the field at 12 to 1. Every coach that's not Saleh, McCarthy, Eberflus, Allen, Daboll, McDermott, Sirianni, or Bowles. I am going to say my money is on probably Matt Eberflus is getting the whole year. All right. The question mark here is anybody going to get canned in season? Is there anybody who loses the job while the boys are still battling? And I think the answer is going to be yes. Whomst, I'm not sure. But if I had to guess, I think Nick Sirianni of the Eagles. Because I think if this team is bad again this year, I think it's a wholesale panic for Philly. For a team that is not that long removed from a Super Bowl appearance, to have the absolute meltdown that they had late in the regular season last year, and to have the talent they have this year. Remember, Saquon Barkley is now an Eagle. They have, in my opinion, one of the top 4 wide receiver groups in all of the National Football League to go with him. Jalen Hurts, whether he is or is not, is viewed by the Eagles as a franchise quarterback, as an elite franchise quarterback. So if this team is anything less than stellar this year, I think Sirianni's the first guy that gets the hook. You're picking him up at 15 to 1 right now, if you're into that sort of thing. There's another thing that comes into play with this. I think the NFC East is going to be shockingly competitive this year. I think the Giants are still going to be down, and it's not Danny Dimes' fault. It's just what that franchise is right now. So Daboll's probably in play for this prestigious honor as well. But they did go get Danny Dimes, what I think is a number 1 wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. And I think that is very interesting. I think that Danny Dimes knows that he's not just playing for his career as a Giant. I think he's playing for his career as an NFL starting quarterback. I think he knows that if he don't get it done this year, he is done. He becomes a journeyman backup. He becomes Mac Jones, effectively, if he doesn't get it done this year. So I think the quarterback's playing for his life. I just don't think they have the talent. I think Dallas, even with the signing of CD Lamb yesterday, which is big, I'm glad they got it done for CD's sake. But even with the signing of CeeDee Lamb yesterday, I think the Dallas Cowboys are taking a step back this year. I think they're walking it back a little bit. I think the Dallas Cowboys, outside of CeeDee Lamb, do you know who Dallas's number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart is right now? Brandon Cooks. To put that into perspective, Brandon Cooks was a veteran when he was playing with Drew Brees in New Orleans. That's how long this cat's been around. They did not upgrade talent. In fact, if anything, they downgraded talent. Tony Pollard's gone. He's in Tennessee now. Who's the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys? Zeke Elliott, a guy that already wasn't good enough for the Cowboys 2 years ago. He's back as their number 1. They ain't got a running game this year with Zeke Elliott as number 1. They got a good offensive line. They've got a washed running back. They've got a good quarterback. They've got 1 wide receiver, and that's it. I think Dallas is taking a step back. And then there's their Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bums.
By the way, you start talking about Dallas, now a bunch of Dallas stuff is showing up on my feed, including Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook is meeting with the Dallas Cowboys. And don't get me wrong, that would be nice to give a little lightning to Zeke's lack of thunder. Sure. But is that a game changer? No. If he was a game changer still, he'd be in Minnesota. He'd still be a Viking, but he's not. I love Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was one of my favorite players to watch play early in his Minnesota career, but he ain't that guy anymore. It's just the problem is the big D, and I do mean Dallas, is having the NFL franchise version of an anxiety attack right now because they realized they done screwed up because they ain't got the talent right now to compete. I think Dallas is taking a step back, like under win total step back this year. Okay. So I've got an Eagles team with a head coach that is playing for his life, that is coaching for his life, that absolutely did upgrade. They upgraded at wide receiver. They upgraded at running back this year. I got a Dallas team that has taken a step back this year, in my opinion. I got a Giants team that has a head coach and a quarterback that are coaching and playing for their lives. I just think they're pretty mediocre when it comes to roster construction. And then there's the Washington Commanders. Look, Dan Quinn showed us in Atlanta. He may not be head coaching material. But I think part of the reason that Dan Quinn kind of struggled there in Atlanta a little bit was I don't think he really had assembled a top-flight coaching staff. I think he's done that in D.C. I wonder if Dan Quinn learned his lesson a little bit and put together a good coaching staff, and I think the answer is yes, including Cliff Kingsbury, who I think is going to be a good OC. And OBT Dubs, as I told y'all before last year's college football season, Jaden Daniels is going to be a dude. He will be him. That team is one of my dark horse teams to steal a divisional crown away from somebody. So Nick Sirianni's on my list of the next coach to be fired, a coach that will be fired in season. Probably my bet. I think Dennis Allen finishes the year. I think Robert Saleh finishes the year. If the Jets don't win the East, though, Robert Saleh will be gone. Why? So they don't have to blame Aaron Rodgers. So they can keep A-Rod around maybe one more season into what, year 43? I don't know. We'll see. So there's your coaches who are on the hot seat in the NFL according to Las Vegas. Who's your bet for the NFL head coach that does not make it out of the season? We got some more football to talk when we come back. Rolling through hour number 3 of the 4-hour extravaganza. That is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. right, y'all. We are back. Thanks for hanging in there. I genuinely appreciate it.
I was just standing at the door watching Tim train. And he said, look at him creeping. And I said, you can't creep in your own house. And so, can you creep in your own house? I don't think you can.
I think you can.
No, it's your house.
You can still be a creep.
Depends on what you consider.
Well, I guess do you mean the creep as in the verb creep or the adjective?
You say creeping. Because I was leaning against the door and they didn't notice me.
I think any time that you're creeping, you don't have to creep on anyone or anything.
I didn't
specific. You can just
Scooby-Doo up
creep.
to the door.
That would be creeping.
Yeah, I just walked up and leaned against the door.
But being a creep, if you were a creep, you're a creep all the time.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights, avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy,
So I still can't fix this. I did. You can go to Explore, and so I can find trending there. And so I've been able to find some things. But like for me, where it says for you on the trending,
Yeah.
there's like 3 things. Whereas usually there's a ton of things.
That is weird. Mine's good.
Then I go to trending and it's got a bunch, but news has nothing. So apparently there's no news going on right now. Sports has Fever at Dream, and that's it. Entertainment has Esports World Cup, which I wasn't aware was going on, but still.
I was.
that
You want to know
already
why?
happened. Well, no. it's still-
Because on like Underdog and DraftKings,
Uh-huh.
you can bet on that. Like individual competitors to outright win matches or teams to win games. Like it's wild. And there are apparently people who like gamble on this. Like,
Well,
study
I
it.
mean, it's a big deal to make a team. I know
Yeah.
that, and their sponsors and all that kind of stuff. Do you want your entertainment to become a job, though? I understand I'm asking that question as I'm sitting in a radio station.
I was going to say, it is for me already.
But what I'm saying is your escape. So video games for me is my escape. Do I want that to suddenly be a job and be regulated by people and certain pressures being put on you? I don't want that, because then I have to find something else to be my escape.
See, I don't. Like, sports is my escape, and I'm getting paid for it. Like, when this has been a conversation between Courtney and I many times, because
I don't get the reference, Trey.
when I tell her, like, she thinks me going to games and stuff is like a fun thing. And I'm like, it's my job. It is fun for me. So I'm very fortunate that I get to love what I do for a living. But watching football is a job for me. It's not something I explicitly do as a hobby. However, if I did not work in sports, if tomorrow I didn't work in this industry anymore, I would still watch the same amount of football because it is my escape. It just happened to be that I was fortunate enough to set myself up to get paid to do the thing that I escape from. Now, I would probably watch football with a far less analytical eye if I wasn't doing the job, but I really enjoy breaking down X's and O's of football, just like I enjoy just watching it, enjoying it, and then turning off the TV when it's over.
See, that's weird, Wesley. It works for me.
Got to figure out how to get into this industry, bud.
Even to the point where leave your grandpa alone. He's working.
I tell Courtney, please understand that any time that I say I can't do a thing because there is a game on I have to watch, I do have to watch that game. It is not, I will skip games to go do stuff with you if they're not like uber important to the job. But like Georgia Clemson, I can't do anything. I must watch that. That's the nice thing about it, because if I didn't work in this industry, I just really, really, really want to watch it.
QC in the next break.
10-4. So yesterday we talked a little bit about Bryce Young getting the nod as the starter for preseason game number 3 for the Carolina Panthers. He got thrown out there, rolled out there, looked efficient. Not necessarily explosive, not necessarily anything that blew you off the page, but he was comfortable in the pocket. He was calm in the pocket. Footwork looked good. Delivered the balls where they needed to go in order to allow the wide receivers not just to make the catch, but to make the catch and continue forward momentum after they did. I was very happy with it. But I don't want to talk about this year's Bryce Young right now. I want to talk about last year's Bryce Young for just a minute. And why is that? Well, here's why. There is an article up on The Athletic right now. This article is a breakdown of quarterbacks in the National Football League. It is written by Mike Sando. And what Sando did, allegedly, is Sando threw out there to, he says, 50 NFL executives and head coaches, both current and prior. And he asked them to rank quarterbacks. And then using those rankings, put together a poll of the quarterbacks in tier rankings. So tier 1, obviously, Mahomes is up there. Joe Burrow's up there. Lamar Jackson's up there. Tier 2, Josh Allen in tier 2, along with a host of other quarterbacks. But what I want to talk about is a quote that Sando put directly into his article. A quote that Mike Sando from The Athletic claims is from a NFL head coach about Bryce Young's first year as an NFL player. According to Sando, the coach said, quote, "I don't know of a human being that has been put in a worse situation as a quarterback ever. So I'm going to give him a benefit of the doubt." I'll take what has Rob Brown been screaming for a year now for 500, please, Alex. Yes, this is why I have said, and I phrase it as a joke, but if I'm keeping it a buck with you, it ain't exactly a joke to me. I phrase it as a joke because every time I do, Lonzo's eyes roll so far back in his head that it gives himself a neurological examination when I say it. But I kind of mean it a little bit.
A lot of space for rent, by the way.
A lot of space back there. I mean it when I say, and I say thoroughly, sincerely, and I hold to this. This is Bryce Young's rookie year to me. It is Bryce Young's rookie year because, as was stated, according to Mike Sando in this article on The Athletic, even NFL coaches say that this was doomed to failure before it ever got off the ground. I don't know of a human being that has been put in a worse situation as a quarterback ever. So I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. And what have I pointed out? I have pointed out that the skill position talent last year was not talented. There was Adam Thielen. There was a bit of a renaissance late in the year for Chuba Hubbard. But Miles Sanders wasn't the guy Carolina paid him to be. John Mingo did not break out like we had hoped that he would. TMJ did not break out like we hoped that he would. Lack of skill position talent. Hayden Hurst was not the guy that we hoped he would be. And obviously there were some issues, cognitive injuries that we had to deal with Hayden Hurst, but not the guy we hoped he would be. It just wasn't there. And then you put him behind 5 wet paper towels of an offensive line. Bryce Young was doomed before it ever started last year. And there is nothing that frustrates me more than a football fan who puts it all on the quarterback. A football fan who believes, not just says, but genuinely believes that the success or the failure of a team is predicated solely on the performance of a quarterback. The quarterback last year had no chance. He was doomed before it started. And if you didn't believe it, for the year and 2 months that RB3 has been screaming it at you, then go with Mike Sando here. If you believe what he's saying is true, and if you believe this quote is accurate, I do, that even NFL coaches went, yeah, there was no chance this guy was succeeding. None.
Sounds like a lot of excuses. Now you've got multiple people giving excuses for a guy not getting his job done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, way to go, you.
Mm-hmm. If I put Lonzo in here with somebody that didn't
Doesn't
speak
go
English,
to break when they hear the music.
Exactly. You'd fail too. All right. The guys around you are just as important to your job as you are if you're a quarterback.
We're going to get that text.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys. Last live and we're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you.
I saw
Will be
that.
available
I thought
July 5.
I thought you'd already saw that. My bad.
Just came across my push notifications.
Have you seen the Batman popcorn bucket for the anniversary?
I have not.
It's got bat signal light on the front of it that works, and you can aim it
Really?
at the ceiling. Yeah,
That's kind of dope.
I think it
That's
costs
kinda
like $40.
Progressive knows buying one new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and get a
The Rob Brown Show continues. We do have a little bit of news for you. Jonathan Brooks, the rookie running back out of the University of Texas, and one of the newest Carolina Panthers, will remain on the PUP list for the Panthers, which means that he will be ineligible to play through the first 4 weeks of the season. Not a gigantic shock. Kind of expected as he is making his way back from season-ending ACL surgery for the Longhorns last season. And that rehab, from what we understand, going fine, but just with the surgery and all that was going to take some time to get him back to 100%. And let's be real. I think protecting rookies is kind of a lost art in the NFL, right? Like, I think you do have to protect rookies. I think you got to put effort into protecting rookies. And I think the Panthers are basically doing that. Here's the reality. It is unlikely, though not impossible, right? Improbable, but not impossible, that the Carolina Panthers are in any way in contention for the division this year. I'm not saying it's impossible, because Atlanta might stink, right? I might be wrong about the ATL. They might stink. In fact, I read a breakdown yesterday, a preseason preview yesterday from, oh gosh, I wish I could remember who wrote it to give them credit or not. But I saw somebody yesterday basically write up an article about how Atlanta is about to learn that Kirk Cousins is mid, and that Kirk Cousins was carried pre-injury in Minnesota by the best wide receiver core that at the time had been assembled in the NFL. And I will tell you that I don't agree with it, but I also can't say it's wrong.
Yeah, but at the same time, a mid quarterback in Atlanta is a major step up, isn't it?
No, they had Matt Ryan. I think
How long ago was that?
I mean, a hot minute.
Yeah,
It's definitely a step up from Desmond Ridder,
right. So it's
and Marcus Mariota.
and if they would have had a mid quarterback last year, they would at least won the NFC South.
You are probably not wrong about that, to be honest. You're probably spot on accurate with that. Now, is mid good enough to win the NFC South this year? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably is, to be honest with you. Not in any playoff games, but it's probably good enough to win this division this year, which is why, again, I think Atlanta 1, Tampa 2, New Orleans 3, Carolina 4. I think let me be clear. My optimism about this football team, my belief that this team is trending upwards is about next year, not this year. I think this year is another development year. But I do think that the Panthers are doing the right thing by delaying John Brooks' return to football as long as is possible. I think it's the right play. There's a controversy going around right now in New England because the head coach of the New England Patriots, and this is connected to what we are talking about, so stay with me here for just a minute. There is a controversy developing around the Patriots right now because yesterday, head coach of the New England Patriots, Gerard Mayo, said that, in his opinion, Drake May outperformed Jacoby Brissett in the preseason, through camp and through the 3 preseason games. And just so we're clear, I agree with him. Drake May look better than Jacoby Brissett did. Now, with that being said, Gerard Mayo also said that he still may end up going with Jacoby Brissett as QB1 for the Patriots. And the Patriots fans are like, oh, wait, sorry. I keep forgetting I have this. The Patriots fans are like, whoa, 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 whoa. We got this rookie quarterback. We got this guy out of the University of North Carolina. Why would we not go with him? And the answer is to shield him from the tragedy that is going to be the 2024 New England Patriots. This is going to be the worst team in the league. Carolina Panther fans at the end of this year are going to call New England fans and go, I feel you, dog, because I think this team's winning 2 games at the max. Let me put it this way. For just about every other team in the NFL, I can look up and down their schedule and I can go, okay, even if it's a coin flip game, this team's got 5 coin flip games. They can win 2, 3 of those, right? If they're true coin flip games. Here's New England's schedule. At Cincinnati, home for Seattle. At the Jets, at the Niners, home for the Dolphins, home for the Texans, home for the Jags, home for the Jets. On the road at Tennessee, on the road at the Bears, back home for the Rams, at the Dolphins, back home for the Colts, bye week, at the Cardinals, at the Bills, back home for the Chargers, back home for the Bills. Lonzo, aside from maybe Arizona, what's the other New England win there? Yeah,
I was going to say Arizona is definitely a possibility.
And it's, for the record, possibility, not probability, because I do think this is the busted year for Kyler Murray. He either proves he is or ain't the guy this year, and I do think you're going to get a little something out of Kyler Murray. So I'm going to say at the best, that's a coin flip game, and I got to lean towards the Arizona Cardinals because who is in Atlanta right now? Matthew Judon, the best pass rusher, and a guy that would make Kyler Murray sweat a little bit, ain't with them no more. They ain't got to pass rush the Patriots this year. I think I'm leaning Arizona in that game. I mean it when I say it. It is the NFL. Bad teams beat good teams all the time. It's part of the fun.
They play Indy?
They do play Indy at home.
That was late, right?
That is week number 13.
Okay.
December 1st.
So does Richardson stay healthy the entire year? If he doesn't, then maybe they have a shot at beating Indy.
I mean, maybe they have a shot at beating Indy, right?
And whoever they play last, maybe because the other team who do they play last?
I don't think they will because it's Josh Allen and the Bills, and Josh Allen in the Bills, if they are winning that division in week 18, it will not be more than by 1 game.
Okay.
And realistically, I don't think they'll be winning it. I think they'll be having to fight it. By the way, do you know who the backup for the Indianapolis Colts is at quarterback? Don't worry, I'll tell you. Fighting Joe Flacco. So I wouldn't even say that if Joe Flacco can do for Indy what he did for the Browns last year.
Good on him, jumping on another team.
Yeah, man.
He was retired, then it was a starter, was in the playoffs, and then, good for him.
I'll come out of retirement, too, for $27 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, you can pay me a little bit less, and you probably get me out of retirement.
I'll go into retirement for $27 million.
Same here.
Right now, today, somebody called me, offer me 27 to quit. I'm gone. Goodbye.
Okay, offer me 1.
Bye, Felicia.
You offer me 1, I'm gone.
Yeah,
sure.
I'd have a hard time saying no to that. I'll retire. Anyway, no, the Patriots going to be toast. And so, to me, Gerard Mayo is making the right decision going with Jacoby Brissett. Because what you don't want to do is throw a guy out there and allow him to get assaulted every play for a team that is not a contender for a damn thing. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Does that sound familiar to any of you Panther fans out there in the Armada? Yes, this is the right call. I have been screaming it for years. Nick Saban agrees with me. And if you don't think that I know ball, that's okay. Are you going to say Nick Saban doesn't know ball? I would say he's got the qualifications to be a knower of ball. And Nick Saban has said, I think we're putting too much pressure on rookie QBs. This is why so many wash out, because you bring them up and you expect them to immediately be something. And the NFL is a different breed. Cat. It's a different animal entirely. So the Patriots go, we are going to roll out there until we know Drake May is ready. We're going to roll out there a veteran journeyman backup. We're going to roll a guy out there that, and I'm sorry to say, I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, though it will sound that way. It doesn't matter if Jacoby Brissett gets his ass kicked. It doesn't matter. He is your sacrificial lamb. He is the shield that will be between the spears of NFL defenses and the soft, spongy, fleshy body of Drake May. That's what Jacoby Brissett is. This is a good decision from Gerard Mayo, and it is ticking Patriot fans off. But this is a decision that you make when you understand the game and when you are not a fan. Remember last week when you said what would happen if an NFL team had like an online poll where they allowed the fans to make personnel decisions? Drake May would go out there week 1 against the Bengals and he would get his ass whipped. That's what would happen. And you would break him. I will tell you when I say this, you want to know part of the reason that I genuinely believe that Bryce Young is a headstrong enough dude to make it in the National Football League? Because he went through what he went through last season and he came back for more. That's why. Because he went through what he went through last season and he showed up to camp this year in shape and ready to go. He had his little Cars backpack on with his thermos and his Pokemon lunchbox in it, and he was ready to get the hell to work. And when you put him on the field with an NFL defense and said, go throw the ball around a little bit, he stood in the pocket, he set his feet, he read the defense, he made the right read, he did the head fake, he found his guy, and he completed passes. If Bryce Young was able to go through what Bryce Young went last year with absolutely zero protection for the rookie quarterback at all, they threw my dude to the wolves in week 1. If he was able to make it out of that the other side and come back this year and be ready to play football for the same team that was ready to sacrifice him to NFL defenses last year, and he came in ready to work, ready to learn, ready to grow, and ready to go. I trust that guy. That guy's headstrong because a lot of rookies would not. A lot of rookies would have gotten broken by what the Carolina Panthers did last year. So Gerard Mayo doing it the right way by keeping the future QBF away from QB1 in a year where even Gerard Mayo knows this team is going to be awful.
And then you can get your number 1 receiver in the draft next year and pair him up with that quarterback and who's had a year of practice under. Yeah, I can see it.
Yes!
That is exactly correct. Give him some time and by the way, half of protecting your rookie isn't just about protecting your rookie. It's about taking care of you as a franchise, right? Because here's the deal. If they protected Bryce Young last year, but then they didn't do anything else, they didn't go get Xavier Legette, they didn't go get Deontay Johnson, they didn't go get John Brooks, they didn't go get Robert Wood and Damian Lewis at the guard spot, they didn't beef up. I mean, yes, they lost some guys like Derek Burns, but if they did not go do some stuff to make this roster better, then protecting Bryce Young would have been a waste of time. But what they do? They took this offseason and they got better. They took this offseason and they improved. They took this offseason and they went and found a coach that is the antithesis of the guy that they hired last year in every way, shape, and form. The opposite of the guy they had last year that failed miserably. And they brought back BY. Now, how much different would it be? And maybe it's bad. Maybe it would have been worse if BY sat for a year, did not play, and this was the first year he faced live fire NFL players. But I think that the Patriots are doing it the right way. And to circle back around to the beginning, because that's what radio is, sitting John Brooks for 4 weeks and giving him all the time that he needs to make sure that knee is as close to 100% as it can possibly be before you trot him out there to run the ball behind a decent offensive line is the right move to protect him and to protect the franchise's future paying him. Speaking of the franchise, here's Lonzo with a sports flash.
He meant Brian Burns, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. After a rain delay, the Atlanta Braves rode a solid 5-inning, 7-strikeout performance from Max Fried to a 10-6 win over the Twins in the first game of a 7-game road trip. Atlanta finished the night with 13 hits, including home runs from Matt Olson and Travis d'Arnaud. Atlanta is 6 games back of Philadelphia in the NL East, but now has a 3-game lead for the final wildcard spot over New York. One issue is off the table for the Dallas Cowboys as the team agreed yesterday to a 4-year, $136 million deal with wide receiver CeeDee Lamb that makes him the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. The deal includes $38 million in signing bonuses, the most ever given to a wide receiver, and $100 million in guaranteed money. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Tune in this Saturday at 5:30 as the Furman Paladins get their college football season started as they take on the Ole Miss Rebels. It's Furman versus Ole Miss right here on the Fan Upstate. Crash game. Goodbye, Sports Flash.
Is your business stuck, struggling to grow, need more leads, traffic, and word of mouth? You could redesign your logo, build a new website, create your own app, so dark to the board. But none of those will boom your business straight to the top.
Boom.
By a different set of rules. Do you know how to become the brand people think of first and feel best about? Winning companies do, and they use this knowledge to gain an unfair advantage over you. I'm Nick Torbe, senior partner in the Wizard of Ads marketing group. We have the secrets to boom your business, and I've asked 4 of my most accomplished partners from across North America to teach you those secrets during a half-day seminar called Unfair Marketing, Tuesday, September 10th at the Spring Hill Suites in downtown Greenville. Normally, a day with one of my partners costs $5,000, but in cooperation with Odyssey Broadcasting, this event is just $300, and there's no sales pitch at all. Seating is limited. Learn more and register at unfairmarketing.org and get your unfair advantage.
Panthers will place rusher Amari Barno on injured reserve.
Checks out. That's what you've seen the previews for this? Transformers 1?
Yeah, it looks really good.
It does.
But also, I just don't know why villains can't be villains. So there's so many things where they want to go back and show the villain as when he was a good guy before he turned. Let a bad guy be a bad guy. It's okay. Some people are bad. Some characters are bad. Next thing you know, we're going to see Palpatine when he was a kid. And what happened to him to make him turn into what he is?
I like the concept of making villains complicated and making villains people. Because there is definitely evil. And someone being evil, pure evil, can't be justified. But I think putting the struggle of what leads to someone to be evil is an interesting way for us to analyze the way that we treat people as a society.
Let me hate Megatron, okay? I don't want to go, yeah, but you know what happened back when he was younger? I don't want to think about that.
Also,
I want my good guy to be the good guy, my bad guy to be the bad guy.
I have an issue, and honestly, I haven't seen the trailer for the movie yet, so I don't know what the backstory is. I have a problem with the concept of Transformers growing up, right? Like kid. Like, I don't need kid Megatron. He's just Megatron. They're robots.
No, they're not.
Just, they're just that.
They are growing up. You should watch the trailer.
Yeah,
The trailer's pretty good.
Like growing as a character, for sure. But like literally growing up like they were kid robots and then teenage robots and then big robots.
I think they show them as teenage robots. I don't know if they show them as kid robots. So you think when whatever on Cybertron gives them life, they're just automatically adults? Matt World in the first break. I hope so, Trey, because we find out a young Skeletor, when he had skin, was a good guy, and then the skin was ripped from him, and he immediately became a bad guy.
I mean, in fairness, you would understand that, right? Like if Skeletor got tortured and flayed, and then a necromancer made him an immortal skeleton, you'd understand why he's a little ticked off.
Okay, all right.
I think that's very fair. I think if we found out that Skeletor used to be an all right guy, just another dude, and then one day he got flayed and died, and then a necromancer woke him as a living dead immortal skeleton, I think you'd understand why Skeletor was a bit of a butthole.
Yeah, but I don't want to know that. I just let him be the bad guy. I mean, you want to give me a little bit of his backstory, I'm fine. But I don't want to go into detail at seeing Skeletor as a young child, looking up at the stars and dreaming about a future, and then suddenly having his skin flayed off. Nah, I just don't. Nah.
Lonzo just wants to hate.
No,
he just wants to hate.
I sometimes I just want bad guys to be bad guys. I don't want my heel turning into a face. Is there ever a wrestler that you can think of who's always the heel, who's never been a baby face?
Ric Flair. The GOAT.
No, there are times when he's been considered
the only time I would say
babyface tendencies.
The only time I would say he ever threatened babyface was how committed he was to Evolution. That's it. That's the only time I can even think that I would say Ric Flair was even close to being a committed, genuine, true babyface. He was a tweener a few times because he was fighting worse heels, but he was never a babyface.
All right, give me Joker from Dark Knight. I don't need to know really how he got those scars. I don't. Okay, he's the bad guy because he's deranged in his brain, and he's just that.
See, I like the concept. This is exactly why the new Joker movie and Joker Part 2 coming out. This is why that movie was so damn successful, because I really do think in showing, and obviously it's a variant Joker, but obviously in showing why he is the way he is, I think, to me, I mean, art can go different directions. There is absolutely art that I just want to sit back and enjoy it. I just want to sit back and let it be what it is. This is why comic book movies are great. But at the same time, you're a Batman guy. The entire premise of Batman is not what he does as a kick-ass crime-fighting vigilante superhero. The entire thing that makes Batman compelling is why he does it, why he arrived at where he arrived in his philosophies and how he arrived at them. Why not have the same thing with bad guys? Because I think what that does, to me, the best art is art that affects you on a deeper level than surface level. To me, and it's subjective, but art that impacts me on a deeper than surface level is the best kind of art. And so if you show me a bad guy, who's a bad guy? Just genuinely a bad guy. But you actually make me think about why he's a bad guy and make me, in a weird way, understand it, even if I disagree with him. Those are the best bad guys. And what should happen for those type of movies, in my opinion, ever so humble as it always is, but also very frequently correct, is that when you walk out, you should have some sense of deeper thought about the way that people are treated societally that drives people to make the decisions that they make. Because we are emotional, irrational, illogical apes at our core. And so if you really think about it, how many bad people, not all of them, there's a lot of guys that are just bad people.
All right.
But how many bad guys would not, in real life, would not have been that guy or that gal if maybe we just took care of each other a little better?
All right. This is for a guy who thinks he's Ray, but is not Ray. in sports, a bad guy who's always been a bad guy. Bill Laimbeer. Do you want to believe that, he wasn't born a jerk and grew up a jerk and was a jerk punk thug when he was playing for the Pistons? That guy was never a good guy. He was always what he is. And I'm okay with that. I don't think that we need his entire story.
See, I disagree.
Do you want to know Bill Laimbeer's story?
Now I do. Now I want a Bill Laimbeer documentary. Put it on Netflix, make it 8 episodes, and whichever S of a B is cooking popcorn right now, you're catching these hands after the show.
Well, at least I waited till 9.
Yeah, at least I wait till 9. Yeah, I do. Wouldn't it be interesting to find out that noted Detroit Piston bad boy Bill Laimbeer was like the director of FCA at his high school, and what was at the soup kitchen every Sunday after church, and on Mondays him and his mom drove Meals for Wheels, and on Tuesdays he was helping with Habitat for Humanity, and on Wednesdays he was doing a mission trip, and like all these wonderful things. And then one day he was on a basketball court just playing a lovely game of round ball because it was his passion and he had a love for it. And some other guy on the other team kicked him in the nards and was like, "You'll never make it here, white boy," and just kicked him in the nads. And then his coach cut him for being weak and being a crybaby. And that was the day that Bill Laimbeer went, "I love basketball, and if ever we're going to make it, I got to become a hole." And that's what maybe you're telling me that doesn't compel you a little bit? That doesn't intrigue you?
That is a story that no one would watch. Because I don't believe that for a second. I don't
believe that's what happened. I'm saying, what if it was? What if what actually happened was Bill Laimbeer was this super genuine, authentic, legitimate, good, wholesome Midwestern fella, right? He said, "Ope," when things went wrong. He didn't go, he went, "Ope, excuse me, pardon me. Y'all," he said, "Sir," and "ma'am," and "please," and "thank you." And he opened doors and he walked little old ladies across the street and he used his gigantic ass frame to pull kittens out of trees for little girls. Like, he's just the best. Like, he's Captain America wholesome growing up. And then one day he gets his butt whipped on the basketball court, and then the coach comes and goes, "You're cut because you're a weak, little, feeble-minded nobody, Bill. Get out of my gym, Bill. You're worthless. You're a nobody." And then all of a sudden...
By the way, he's from Boston, so I doubt that's the accent he heard when he was growing up.
It's not, and also everybody from Boston is mean, so this whole thing's pointless.
There we go. You thought he was from the Midwest.
Imagine if he was, though. Right? Imagine if he was. You're telling me you wouldn't find that a little compelling. You're telling me you wouldn't find Steve Smith, the biggest bleep talker in the game, a guy that if you weren't a Panther fan, you said that guy because he was that level of a bleep talker. You're telling me you don't want to know the backstory of how he became that guy?
No,
I do.
I don't, because I don't want to know why he broke his own teammate's nose. There's some things I don't. Why he had Cam Newton in fear that if he didn't throw him the ball, he's going to climb up on his head and beat him in the head. No, I don't want to know all that.
I just want to hate the guy.
Right. Sometimes you just want to love the good guy and hate the bad guy. Sometimes that's all you want.
Oh man,
give
me complicated sports stories.
I guess I'm just too simple.
Give me complicated, dramatic ass backstories. Good guys and bad guys. Give them to me. Make my good guys have flaws and my bad guys have redeeming qualities, because that is how the real world works.
Is that guy a bad guy?
Oh, we're coming to JJ. We're coming to you know what? Let's just get to Jerry now, because Jerry fits into this a little bit. Jerry fits into this conversation. If you haven't seen this story yet, it's pretty spectacular. Jerry Jones has owned the Dallas Cowboys since 1989. Since 1989, Jerry Jones has also filled the role of team president and general manager. Obviously, in the 90s, JJ put together some good squads, some good dudes. He won a couple of Lombardis, but they ain't been back since 1996, and I've done the math. That was many, many moons ago, right? Well, Jerry Jones, they did finish their contract with CeeDee Lamb yesterday, gave him a 4-year deal worth a lot of money, $38 million guaranteed in signing bonus, $100 million guaranteed. He is now the highest paid Dallas Cowboy wide receiver of all time, and it is the third longest contract given to a non-quarterback. CeeDee Lamb got paid. The problem is the Cowboys still got a lot of other business that they got to conclude, and that includes deciding if they want to re-sign Dak Prescott, and if so, getting that contract done. Well, there's a story about Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones recently told DLLS Sports in an article that they posted on their website, and that was then put out and republished by foxsports.com. Remember, Fox Sports, an entity that, while I can't say for certain would not, has ridiculously close ties to the NFL. Close enough ties for a lot of enough of money that they wouldn't want to put out something that is untrue.
No way.
And unflattering about the most powerful individual in the NFL. Yes, even more so than Roger Goodell.
Oh, man, I really know who is that.
So, Jerry Jones.
I pushed the wrong one.
Yeah, no, I figured you did. I was just going to roll on through it.
I like football. I like football.
Jerry Jones was talking to DLLS Sports and was asked about his role at 81 years old, was asked about his role and if he had given any evaluation about whether or not he should continue to serve as the general manager or if he should maybe turn the reins over to somebody that's not 81 to live in a super competitive world. And here's what Jerry Jones had to say. Now, I'm going to do a dramatic reenactment, and I'm going to let you know in advance that is going to get a workout. Here's what Jerry Jones had to say. He said, and I quote, "I've done it all, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that..." No, man. Okay. Stop. Everybody reset the set. All right. Get the little what we call it, the little clicker thing. Get that ready.
Yeehaw!
Quiet on the set. And action. I've done it all, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that if anybody can figure out how to get this done, I can figure out how to get it done. I've been there every which way from Sunday and busted a bunch. There's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times that they busted their. So hell no, there's nobody that could come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can. Plus, I'm where the buck stops. When it's up, I gotta cover it. There is nobody else that can do it.
And if you're not
See.
done with that, we got 2 words for you.
Hell yeah!
Scene. Except for it wasn't scene. There's more. Sorry, forgot the second half of the quote. Sorry. Reset, everybody. Run it back. Put the props back in place. We got the second half of the scene. Quiet on the set and action. I've had hundreds of bad days. I'm emotional about it sometimes. Running this thing, that's who I want to make the last call. Now, when I can't think, when I'm old and I can't even do it, the reason I don't let somebody else be the GM is because I don't have anybody that I will let do it, actually do it right. And they're going to have to come to me because I know where it is that you're going to pay for it.
I am the hype.
And hang on, let me make sure there's no one. That's the article. All right, here it goes. There's more. The script, very long script, very long monologue. I said, guys, Y'all never seen a meeting when they had no money, right? We could have a meeting where there wasn't any money. And I said, can any of you imagine not having enough money coming through the doors to pay the overhead? I said, when I walked in this, nobody had enough money coming in. If I didn't give if this wasn't fun for me to do or interesting for me to do, whatever you want to call it, the facts are I really would rather be around like this. The point is, I love this.
You sly dog. You got me monologuing. I can't believe it.
Thanks, JJ. Jera, I get it, buddy. I get it. I really do. I understand. I understand what it's like to love to do a thing, but more importantly, because I've been there, I understand what it's like to love to do a thing and have that thing not love you back. I understand what it's like to love to do a thing, to want to do a thing, to believe that you are good at a thing, only to have everything about that thing turn away from you. I get it, my guy, but there's this other thing that you're not considering. And that thing is a ring. That thing is a ring that you haven't seen since 1996. You were not 81 in 1996. Now, I don't know how old you are because I'm real bad at math and I can't do it in my head, but I know it's a lot younger than 81 because in 1996, I was 11. In 6 months, I turned 40. Those numbers are a long way away from each other. So, what's happening here, JJ, is while I appreciate your passion, your fervor, your vigor, your zest, your zeal for the game, the reality here is, bud, you ain't the same guy that you were in 1996. You ain't the same GM. You ain't the same president. You, my man, have to understand that there are people out there better than you at your thing. Listen, even I have an issue with that sometimes. Sometimes I got to remind myself, yeah, dude, you're not the best in the world. I like to pretend that I am. I like to say that I am because it makes me laugh on the radio. And I know people out there hear me say that, and there's two reactions. Half of the people go, oh, Rob, you're so silly. And half of the people go, you, Rob, you suck. And that's fine. That's part of the game, right? See, here's the thing, though. A lot of people, you have the largest fan base in the NFL. A lot of people invest a lot in you, and they would like the return on investment in taking the most profitable and valuable franchise on planet Earth.
All right. I've never understood this about you. Maybe you can explain this to me. You don't like Dallas. Why do you want him to hand it over to someone who might be competent enough to do the job better? Do you want them to win? Because your complaints make it sound like you want them to win. And I thought you didn't like them. And if you don't like them, you should be happy with the situation.
What makes wrestling great?
Everything.
Mm-hmm. But what can wrestling not have? Bad guys. Got to have bad guys. You got to have the bad guys. Hey, yo. You got to have the bad guys. Woo! You got to have somebody that grabs a mic and says,
say hello to the bad guy.
Because without bad guys, ain't no good guys. This is why every year, and I know it frustrates a lot of you, but this is why every year we say college football's better when Notre Dame's in it, when Ohio State's in it, when Alabama's in it, when Georgia's in it, when Texas is in it, when USC is in it. Not because it's better because, yay, go Trojans. It's better because the overwhelming majority of people hate those teams. The majority of Americans hate Ohio State. The majority of Americans hate Alabama. The majority of Americans hate Georgia. The majority of the Americans hate USC. And so when you have something to hate, it makes the other things more fun. The NFL will be more fun when I get to roast Dallas for losing a Super Bowl. And it makes it harder for me to do it and more fun for everybody else when they win a Super Bowl. But if I got an 81-year-old guy who was asked, should you maybe think about handing the reins over, and he goes off on a spree? Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Cole Bryson at that point.
Don't feel bad for that guy. I mean, come on.
I do. Because I don't think Cole Bryson was born in 1996. He's never gotten to feel it. Even I have, and I'm a Saints fan.
He is the child of the station.
Yeah. So he's never gotten to feel it because JJ.
I think he's also Bryce Young's height. I just want to say.
JJ and his big ass ego won't get up out the way. Well, enjoy toiling away in mediocrity, Cowboys fans. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
That world.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me. Thank you so much.
guitar was off compared to when we started singing the song. I'm like,
it's an evil in me.
now I know the song.
Down, fingertips and memories. I can't forget the curve of your body. When I feel a bit naughty. Running up the flagpole and see who salutes, but no one ever does. And I'm not sick, but I'm not well. And I'm so hot because I'm in hell. And I gotta stop. I don't know why I got flagpole sitting in my head.
Big Lou is intimately familiar.
Oh, baby!
Man flags our video because Rob just did the worst rendition of the song ever.
You didn't get a copyright strike. You just sucked.
Yeah. Dude, please don't do that again.
We used to play that song. That song sucked.
Oh, I knew because you knew all the lyrics. I kind of guessed that.
No, I mean, I knew the lyrics because I loved that song when I was a youth when that song came out. That was in Rob's rebellious phase.
I had never really
Danger.
I didn't understand all the lyrics till now.
Uh-huh.
So thank
It's
you
dirty.
for that. You could have been like making it all up.
Mm-mm.
It sounded real.
Put me in the hospital for nerves and then they had to commit me. Told them all I was crazy. They cut off my legs, now I'm an amputee. Last verse of that song just slaps.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mac. Lyrical meanings are important.
Just let me enjoy them.
A lot of people sing along and don't really think about what they're singing, though.
Paranoia, everybody's coming to get me. Say that you never met me. Running underground with the moles, digging holes. Hear the voices in my head, I swear to God, it sounds like they're snoring. But if you're bored, then you're boring. The agony and the irony, they're killing me. Yeah! I got Harvey Danger stuck in my head during the break. Zero explanation
If I
for
would
it.
have known you were going to continue, I would have tried to find the music.
Zero explanation for it at all. Why that song popped into my head. Haven't heard it in probably 2 years, but there it is.
I do believe you can catch the entire song because he sang the entire song. So, I mean, you know.
Did the guitar shred and everything, man.
The guitar part's still off to me. It sounds like bluegrass.
All right. Let's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen, shall we? Any interest in this great one? The Let's Go podcast, famously hosted by Tom Brady, is no longer hosted by Tom Brady. Brady has been replaced by his old boss, Bill Belichick, alongside current player Max Crosby and future Hall of... Actually, I don't know if he's in yet. Larry Fitzgerald will take over. Crosby, Hoodie, and Fitzy are the new hosts of the Let's Go pod.
I thought Fitzgerald was already doing that with him. Or they were on a podcast with Jim Gray.
That was the one Brady was on. I don't know if it's the same one or if they had a different one.
Yeah, Fitzgerald was already on that.
Okay.
So, because Brady didn't carry the entire thing. Everything I've seen from Belichick's very entertaining, especially when he's on McAfee. I don't know if you've watched him on McAfee yet, but
I've seen a couple segments.
Yeah, I mean, the scowl is gone. You know, everything that he did to where he didn't have to talk to people, which was all an act.
Which was everything.
No, it was all an act, and now he doesn't have to do that anymore.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I think I understand a guy. I think I understand a guy in a role that comes with as much pressure. We talked earlier in the show about the 7 NFL coaches who have the shortest odds to be canned next. I think it is fair for a guy that lives in a world that is as high pressure as being the coach of an NFL franchise to be a little bit short. I will tell you that I am physically uncomfortable being short with people. It makes me physically uncomfortable.
Well, it's physically impossible for you to be short with people because you're 6'3".
That is a dad joke. Very good.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's a dad joke.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
I finally did it?
Yeah, you did it. I'm so proud of you.
I didn't realize
Make it down August 27, 2024. Lonzo finally stuck the landing on a good dad joke. I do not like being short with people because I know that when people are short with me, it's not that I take it personally. It's that I blame myself, right? I'm like, oh, what did I do? What did I do to take my... Lonzo can attest to this. Every morning he walks into the studio. And there have been days where he walks into the Fortress of Nerditude and he doesn't say anything because he's just going about his morning, right? He's got to set stuff down, set up the Fortress of Nerditude, get in here, set up the show, do all the stuff to get it ready to roll. And sometimes he's just in the groove and he doesn't say anything. And I walk in and what's the first thing I say to Lonzo every time? Every time it happens, I walk in and I say, hey, man, are you upset with me for any reason? Did I do something to upset you? And ordinarily, he looks me in the face and goes, no, stupid, shut up. I'm fine. I'm just busy, right?
Thank you for directly quoting me.
It's literally what he says.
Yeah, that's what
he says, no, idiot. Everything is fine. I'm just busy. Now leave me alone so I can do more important things than talking to you. And I'm like, yes, sir. I get it. I understand that. I will say, however, that there have been spots when I'm like, I'll be out on remote, right? And we're coming out of a break and I'm holding the headset and somebody's talking to me. And he's, I hear the producer roll the music, the hey, come back from break music. And if somebody's saying something to me, I have to go, hey, I'm real sorry. I got to jump back on the air. And I always feel real bad. It's on me, but I always feel real bad about it. But
you should not, because people will show up and want to talk to you while you're talking during a remote. And it's like, okay, did you think I'm just sitting here? There's a reason why I'm doing this.
I get it.
This was a thing between Chris and I for a while. He went out for Christmas one year and I still have it. Got me a glass, a piece of glass that says on air. And if you plug it in, it lights up blue and I still have it at home. So if we ever go on a remote, I can take it with me so people will understand.
Again, I get it.
On air.
But I think what I'm saying is, in a situation like that, like at least I understand it, right? Because here's the thing. If I sit there and I finish that conversation with that person and I don't get back on the air, I lose my job. Or I don't get set on remotes anymore, or I get chastised, right? And I ain't trying to do that either. So I understand Hoodie being short. I'm glad you brought up McAfee, though, because I did want to talk a little bit very briefly about last Friday. McAfee and the fellas were over in Dublin, Ireland, as Pat McAfee, obviously a member of the College Game Day crew permanently now. And while he was there, they were doing their pod, and they were doing so from a pub in Dublin, Ireland. And WWE legend and Dubliner, Sheamus, came by. And Pat and the boys were lit on Guinness drafts, to the point that at one point, Pat said, hey, I'm an honest guy. I got to tell you guys, I am faced right now. And I believe, I haven't seen all of it yet, but I was told he yacked on air or got very close to yakking on air.
He did. And me being behind the scenes and in front of whatever my roles are on radio, it really would have been hard to produce and keep that show going, because everyone around him was struggling because he was the only one that way. And he's the lead of that show. That's one of the, if you want to drink, that's fine. I mean, you're an adult. And if you're not going to get in trouble for it, fine. But have someone around you going, hey man, that's enough, because it's affecting the show. And that's where I had a problem with it. Early on, it was good. It was kind of funny, but then he reached a level where he didn't know what he was doing and he was slurring his words. That becomes a problem from a producer standpoint, from all the things that go around to try to make a show successful. Then you start having a problem because someone else needs to take over and no one there actually could, because of the way his show is structured.
I'm going to roll with Mac here and say it was absolutely ridiculously funny and unprofessional, but it was great television. And that's it, because here's the thing.
I wouldn't say great.
I would. I thought it was hilarious.
Of course.
Okay.
But there are other people. It doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No.
It just means we have different opinions.
Correct. But what I'm saying is this. That just wasn't for you. Okay? It just wasn't for you. And we don't have to cater every show to be a robot block that fits into this where it's good for everybody. There are entire podcasts that are wildly popular that's what it is. It's dudes who get blasted on a microphone and talk about sports. And it's hilarious. There were 9 other shows that were talking college football on that day. There was one where a dude knocked back a bunch of beer and the bros were bros and they broed out. And I thought it was great. Does it suck for the producer? No. And here's why.
No, when to say when.
For you. That's how you elect to live your life.
No, then I'm worried that he has a problem that needs to be taken care of.
And that's fine.
And he's had problems in the past because of this sort of thing.
He's got problems. He's getting paid $100 million a year. Seems like he's doing just fine.
And he can still make mistakes and end up not being alive anymore. There needs to be someone in his life right now going, hey, man, dude, that's enough.
See, this is, and I'm going to say this lovingly, that's the perspective of somebody who doesn't drink. And it's fine to have that perspective. You're allowed to. You're absolutely allowed to.
You can be excessive in a lot of things, not just drinking. And if you don't have someone around you saying, hey, man, that's enough.
Absolutely.
Then you're going to keep going till you combust.
But getting drunk does not mean that you have a problem with being a drunk. It's not the same thing. I get drunk. I've never showed up to work here with booze on the breath because I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't let you on the air if you did.
Correct. So I'm not, that's it. But here's the thing. We don't have the freedom that McAfee, that's McAfee's show. That's why he's getting paid that much, because it worked. I thought it was incredibly entertaining TV, and it was such a break from every other manufactured scripted debate show that I loved it because it was so different. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Getting a little tired of having to crossfade, Brown.
I mean, I gotta
making me crossfade.
I gotta finish. You gave
me. I mean, I'm
thought.
really good at crossfading.
I know.
Okay. It's just I keep losing my place, and I have to search to find where the bed is. Maybe I should just double bed the entire thing. That would probably be the right way to go. Can barely wrangle you sober. I can't imagine having to try to deal with that.
I'm more fun when I drink.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not find out. Wow, did he stumble right there? You said Bulldogs. He got shocked or something.
He's a bro. Yeah. Let my man bro out. Some of us can bro out.
All right, bro. Don't be too long.
Is your business stuck, struggling to grow, need more leads, traffic, and word of mouth? You could redesign your logo, build a new website, create your own app, throw darts at a board. But none of those will boom you.
That's what he says.
Market leaders play by a different set of rules. Do you know how to become the brand people think of first and feel best about? Winning companies do, and they use this knowledge to gain an unfair advantage over you. I'm Nick Torley, senior partner in the Wizard of Ads marketing group. We have the secrets to boom your business, and I've asked 4 of my most accomplished partners from across North America to teach you those secrets during a half-day seminar called Unfair Marketing, Tuesday, September 10th.
So I need to re-listen to the Sports Flash. But I believe the guy just said that Clemson is playing Georgia, who is going for their second consecutive NCAA title, which is obviously not true.
Well, some people seem to think that. TMZ Sports is reporting that Travis and Jason Kelce have inked a $100 million deal for their New Heights podcast.
I'm telling you, Keegan and I had this conversation yesterday. When ESPN had the Rocks, that's not even true. When McAfee had the Rocks to do his pod and just be an unequivocally bro pod. And then ESPN had the Stones to sign him and say, we don't want you to change anything. Just keep the pod, be a bro pod.
Except for they did limit the F word, so they did have some things to say.
I mean,
they're allowed to have a couple.
100%. So the fact that they allowed even that on ESPN and they put the tag on it and all that, Rady Bro is taking off right now. So and I will tell you that for me, it has made me feel a lot better about being myself on the show, because that's what McAfee's doing, and it's
wait. You're saying this is you? This is you? This is
dude, years ago, I never would have talked about drinking brown liquor and making the jokes that I make on that.
I wish you wouldn't now, but I don't think you can do that anyway. I don't think that fits into your diet plan because you're just like drinking bread. You can't drink bread.
That's
bread
why,
puts
that's why I'm
weight
on
on.
vodka right now.
Oh, okay. That's why it's vodka. See, your problem is you think I'm always being judgy.
I mean, you kind of come across that way.
No. Anyone who disagrees with you on the thing is not necessarily being judgy. I told you from a technical standpoint why that would bother me.
But that's the thing. The stuff that would make it a technical standpoint here, they're not a technical standpoint on his show.
Well, it is. Still.
It's not.
Yeah. Going to break when you need to go break and stuff like that.
Again, that's an issue here on that show.
No, it is there too.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio.
Turn that screen. That is so ugly.
The Rob Brown Bro is back on your. I'm so here for bro radio. Just bros being bros. And for the record, so we're clear, I use the word bro intentionally because anybody can be a bro.
Yeah.
All right? Anybody. Yeah, we're tied up at 1-1. Let's go. Back in the game.
My granddaughter keeps calling my wife bro.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
For the record, Miss Lisa's a total bro. And that's a compliment. All right? A bro is the highest of compliments.
She's also taking her Etch-a-Sketch and spelling out Joe Hendry and asking her grandma why she doesn't believe in him.
That's okay. That's really funny. Anybody can be a bro, and being a bro is a good thing. It is a compliment to be a bro. My best friends are bros. My fiance's a bro. Like, it's good to be a bro. That's why it's the bro cave, not the man cave, because anybody can be a bro. And if you're a bro, you're welcome. Max says Pat has been a bro. He is just now a well-paid bro, and they should have expected him to be a bro. Yeah, they did. That's why they signed him, because the popularity of Rady Bro has gone through the roof.
You can be a bro without puking on the air. I just think when you reach that point, it's a little gross.
Again,
or it's a lot gross.
Sure, but that is also the reason that there are crazy RTVMA movies. And there are rated G movies, and you get to pick which one's for you.
Wow.
McAfee
wow, you
is
just implied that I'm rated G, and we know that's not true.
Or PGMA or PG-13 or whatever your little sliding scale of acceptability is.
Why out of the corner of my eye did it look like you were milking a cow? I'm just
I was doing this. I don't know what kind of cows you're hanging out with.
Or are you going back to the shake weight from earlier?
I regret that a lot. I'm real glad I decided to point the camera away for that. No, I dig, but this is what, I am, if that show and what they did last Friday is not for you, it's not for you. But it is okay to give people like us who do like it and do find it funny and aren't having a good time watching it a space in the sports sphere where it's not the same old regurgitated, manufactured, single shot talking heads yelling at each other for an hour every damn block.
I just want to point out that you're implying that I'm that guy, and we both know I'm not. Have you ever seen me do that kind of show? Ever? I'm just a bro guy without the drinking. So, I mean, it's just where everybody else needs that stuff to unwind, then I get to act normal. And you still haven't seen me act like I normally
Normal
do.
is a setting on household appliances.
No. No, it's not.
I promise you.
My normal is your craziest is my normal.
I promise you. Ain't a person in this building that gets to say they're normal. No one in this building is normal.
Maybe someone downstairs?
No.
You don't think
No.
so?
You're not in this industry if you're normal.
The cleaning crew when they come in, maybe someone there.
But they in the building right now.
They're just working hard trying to make a dollar.
All right, let's get a couple more stories in here before we get up out of here for the day. We did this one is very interesting, and I do think it's interesting because it may very well have an impact on Bank of America Stadium down the line. The NFL and the NFL Players Association have mandated the use of a new device to measure field conditions before regular season games this season, according to league officials. The development and introduction of what is being called the Strike device is part of a larger effort to create a universal guideline for the league's 30 playing surfaces, all while addressing a contentious issue between owners and players in recent years that written by ESPN and Kevin Seifert, a staff writer for them. He says those guidelines, NFL field director Nick Pappas said, are expected to be in place for the 2025 season. Pappas said, quote, "We're going to come up with our own performance specification document for the NFL field. Ultimately, it will be a regulatory document that says, hey, look, an NFL field should meet these standards. Right now, our standards have been somewhat vague, but because we didn't want to just arbitrarily adopt something that could be long." Of course, especially those of you that are Panther fans, you know that NFL players have pushed the league to improve playing surfaces for many, many years now. Back in 2023, NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell called on owners to convert the league's 15 artificial turf surfaces to grass. The league pointed to data that shows a relatively narrow gap of non-contact lower body extremity injuries on natural and artificial surfaces, and instead has argued that consistency across surfaces is a more realistic goal. The NFL will roll out the strike system, but in addition to that, the league will continue to use their Clegg device, which measures field hardness before games. NFL rules require Clegg readings between 50 grams and 100 grams for a surface to be approved for play.
You'll think about it. You'll get it later. Continue. No need to go back. Continue.
Oh, no, I can't not now. I don't feel like you know how my bro brain works. Hardness. Got it.
Field hardness.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown bro with Lawns bro here on the show. The strike device, built through the league's biomechanical partners, will provide different data that Papa said will provide a better assessment of field conditions and deliver a metric based on two energy measurements. The first is restitution, how much energy is absorbed by the ground versus being sent back to a player when he steps on it. And the second is deformation, the extent to which the surface dimples when it comes into contact with the foot. But only the Clegg rating will be used for compliance during the 24 season. The strike metrics will be incorporated into next season's guidelines and likely will replace the Clegg in the near future. Papa said, quote, "We believe that strike is more indicative of that initial puncturing of the surface, of how a cleat penetrates the surface and displaces infill or displaces sand or root material. This is what we believe will give us a more true value to what the player is feeling and a better way to measure our fields moving forward," end quote. Nerds run the world, bro. You don't have to like it.
I heard Cleggs
but they do.
Dimples and puncturing, and really what it comes down to, grass is better. Just put grass fields in.
That's it. Put grass fields in till you're one that's got to pay to grow grass inside.
You're a billionaire, man.
Oh,
I don't want to hear you whining.
Listen, if there's one person in the building who agrees with that take, you know you're talking to him. But I also know it turns out, and this is true, billionaires don't become billionaires by being willing to pay for things.
You know what
they
they
want
do?
as much of their stuff paid for by somebody else as
But
they
they
can
also should want to protect their investment, which brings in money, and protecting your investment, which is the players, keeping the player healthy. And how you keep the player healthy? Get rid of the artificial turf and put grass in your stadium.
If every NFL player disappeared tomorrow, they'd all be replaced the day after that. So they don't care. The product,
Wow.
the product.
So every owner is a bad guy and doesn't consider people. They're just product.
All of them? No. The overwhelming majority of them? Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know. any of them.
Absolutely.
Although Woody Johnson looks like he's a guy that would probably think that.
Woody Johnson, Jared Jones. I'll tell you right now.
You spend time with Jerry. You know that's not true.
Are you kidding
He tried
me?
to get you to buy season tickets.
For like a 3-minute elevator ride. That's all he did. He didn't give a damn about me. I'm relatively sure had I turned my back long enough, JJ would have pickpocketed me. That's how hard he was trying to get into the wallet. All right. I'd have woke up the next day, finding out my credit card was missing, and I was charged for 19 Cowboys season tickets.
Rob got rolled by Jerry Jones.
Yeah. That's all he cared about, man. That's all he cared about. It was wild. I'm in an elevator for like 5 minutes. No, not 5 minutes. It was like legitimately 2.5 minutes. It was a very tall building. Like 2.5 minutes with JJ. I told Jerry Jones no. And he was like, all right, but hear me out on this. Like, I know you said no, but maybe just buy a couple of hoodies for your friends. JJ, all my family Saints fans. Well, they wouldn't be if you bought them a hoodie now, would they, son?
That's a great point. By the way, the words of the day for this show are Clegg and shake weight, just in case you didn't catch it.
Oh, man.
I got to look it up because I still don't. I don't know if you explained it because I got lost somewhere in there. What a Clegg actually is.
So the Clegg system, it is actually a hardware and software combination that they take out onto the field, and effectively what they do is they measure the, for lack of a better word, bounciness of the field, the give of the field. So basically, they stick this thing on the ground, and it's kind of like a reverse scale, right? Like instead of you standing on it and says how much you weigh, you push it into the ground and it says the field gives this much. It gives this amount. It gives this much distance, whatever. It effectively measures the softness of the ground, the give of the ground, so that when a player is racked into the turf, they will know, okay, when that player hits, this much of the percentage of the kinetic energy that is driven into the ground, this much of that kinetic energy is distributed into the ground, and this much kinetic energy is rebounded back into the player's body.
Are they doing that for all player types, though? Or are they doing a standard weight of that?
Because they'll get the measurement of the ground itself, and then they can basically do the math of, okay, if a 250-pound dude hits the ground, this much give, and if if Bryce Young hits the ground, it's obviously half of that. And they go about it that way.
Wow,
but
he broke a blade of grass.
At least Alonzo didn't say he's shorter than one.
Oh, no, he's taller than that. All right. Time for me to tell Rob what is Xing, and he will tell us why. First thing is Xing is R.I.P. Sid.
Sid Vicious passing away yesterday. I actually did not ever see why. But
Cancer.
Okay. Bleep cancer, if I may just say so. Sid Vicious, somebody described him yesterday on Twitter as if you had to cast a wrestler to be a bad guy wrestler in a movie, Sid Vicious is the guy that you would have gone with, and I would agree. The only other thing I can add, aside from the fact that Sid Vicious, or Sid Justice, if you prefer, was an absolutely enormous part of my wrestling history when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, is I will never, ever, 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 ever be able to get out of my head watching live when Sid Vicious's leg toothpicked underneath him, and I watched a man's foot face the wrong way, other way.
It was not.
Oh,
it was. I mean, I'm getting whatever those are right now. You're talking about that. That was rough. So
yes, it was.
All right. The next thing is Aixen. Next thing's Aixen. Daggum turrets is Oasis.
Oasis is Xing because Noel and Liam Gallagher are getting together for a reunion tour. Now, I want you to know, Lonzo, I would not buy a ticket to see that show, because I don't think that show's happening. I'd buy a ticket to watch their first rehearsal. I'd buy a ticket to watch them practice together, because famously, Noel and Liam Gallagher, the brothers of Oasis, hate each other like fist fight, hate each other a lot, but they're going to try to put that behind them. So because Oasis will sell out Wembley Stadium if they play together.
They want money.
They will sell out. The question mark here is, can they coexist long enough to get that paycheck? I'm not going to bet on that. I would not buy a ticket for Oasis because I don't think that show happens. I'd buy a ticket for their first practice to see who goes Stratocaster upside the other one's head first.
All right. The only song I can think of from them is Wonderwall, but I'm sure.
Because after all, you're my Wonderwall.
Backbeat word is on the street is still one of my favorite lines of all time. The drums behind it. It was so cool. All right. The next thing is Xing is Sonic 3.
But you never even had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Banger, right?
You should charge extra for the concert today.
I'm telling you.
Sonic 3 is Xing.
Because it's a movie that apparently we wanted, and are going to get.
Well, it is Xing because Keanu Reeves is Shadow.
Well, that's how you sell a ticket.
Yes.
I'm right back in. Just when I thought I was out, you brought me right back in.
The trailer just came out, and they say, because I couldn't listen to it yet, that you can hear Keanu as Shadow in the trailer.
Bro.
I know, right? And finally, Star Wars Outlaws is trending.
All right, two things. Number one, Keanu
Excellent.
Reeves and Brendan Fraser, both American icons, both deserve to be celebrated. We should have a statue of both of those men in every city in America. Number two, it is because, I think this is why I saw it yesterday, a bunch of influencers got an advanced copy of this new game, which is like GTA, but in space. It's like Red Dead Redemption, but Star Wars. And the reactions to the initial gameplay are very mixed reviews right now.
They are, yes.
There's a few people that adore it. They say they're having a ball. There's also a few people that say it's very clunky. Basically, it's like it has a Star Wars aesthetic, and that's really it. Like, you see stormtroopers, and that's pretty much it, and that's throwing people off. The other thing I'll say is I found out that, and I can't remember the publishing company that made it, but apparently they flew a bunch of these influencers out and like gave them free vacations before they reviewed the game. So a lot of people are like, the people that like it got paid to say it. It's very interesting development in the land of video games. That's it for the show. Back tomorrow. When we get back here tomorrow, full speed ahead into week one. We'll give you a full review with breakdown of the week one schedule. Have a great day. Don't drink your job. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a.
That's funny, James. That's really funny.
Robotnik. That is really funny.
The way you said "get" sounded like you were shooing a dog. Get.
All right, dudes and dudettes, I have many things to do, including to go, fingers crossed, drop off my car to get that finally fixed and done with. But I hope you all have a phenomenal rest of your day.
Watch out for Cleggs.
Take care of each other so that we don't have to explain the concept of complicated villains to Lonzo, and he's allowed to just keep hating everybody. Have a good day. Goodbye.